to 8 points.
Well, that's what the banner says, but is the future bright in Armagh? Well, the next couple of hours here at Croke Park is going to tell us that. Those are the crowds arriving into Croke Park, down Jones's Road and down Clonliff Road indeed, for the big senior final coming up at 3:30. Well, plenty of nerves, no doubt, in both dressing rooms ahead of the big match. Well, for one of the Armagh players in particular, this All-Ireland final appearance is a huge bonus. After manning the posts for the county since the early 90s, Benny Tierney decided to hang up the gloves and the boots at the end of last year's championship. With a change of heart, sees him once again this summer filling the number 1 shirt for the county.
Yeah, well, it was hugely disappointing, and again we'd gone to Croke Park and failed to deliver, I think, for 2 or 3 years in a row, and you know, you have to question yourself, you know, could I go for another year, especially considering I wasn't playing that year, and could I give the commitment, considering, you know, married with a kid and a kid on the way as well, and building a house, and I'd sort of made my mind up and spoken to Nicola, and we both had sort of semi-agreed that, you know, that was it, more or less, you know, and bar nearly a miracle, that, you know, that was my last game at Armagh.
I knew from the start, he'd said all along that last year was going to be his last year, and then thankfully, as it is now, when Joe came back and sort of asked him back, he never promised him anything, but he gave him more or less the go-ahead to come back, and I was apprehensive at the start, but boy am I glad he's back again this year.
You know, there was a bit of optimism this year, you know, with Joe taking over and things like that there, and there was a setback against Leeds in the National League, and that night I might have said to myself, here, this mightn't work out, you know. But we've come back strong, you know, and we still haven't reached our potential, I don't think, and probably that's why we're getting some of the criticism we are getting. We're not playing too well, but we've got to an All-Ireland final. I've never heard of a team playing badly getting to an All-Ireland final, so, you know, we're there in March, and hopefully we'll perform on Sunday.
Does this go to a replay? Hill 16 he faces. It's floating to the right. Will it curl off the post? Incredible! Absolutely incredible!
In the final moments I actually didn't watch because I just couldn't. I couldn't bear it. You know, I had my head in my hands and everybody around me was shouting this, that, and I just, until the final whistle blew, I didn't look up. But I never seen so many grown men cry around me. It was unbelievable.
It was more relief than joy, you know, because obviously there was this premeditated hoodoo or something in Croke Park that we can't win there and things like that there. So it was nice to answer a few people and critics like that there. But when we got back in the change room, it's funny enough, it was very calm again. You know, we realised, hello, we haven't won anything. We're still only Ulster champions. We're not All-Ireland champions. And to be judged on anything, we have to win in All-Ireland. And this probably is our best chance ever. So, you know, we have to make the most of it.
Well, a couple of days before the match, he is very nervous. He loses his wit, I have to say, a couple of days before it. Where he normally is very witty. It's a lot of pressure on him, because he is one of the big names, I suppose.
I can remember back to 77, the last one, I was the only kid, but I went to the semi-finals and was hugely disappointed not to get to the final. But for months and maybe years afterward, you were Jimmy Smith or Colin McKinstry or Joe Kiernan or Brian McLennan or these boys, you know. And from that stage, it was, you know, the dream was maybe gathering momentum, maybe someday I could be there or something, but, you know, there's a lot of roads between there and now, you know, but it's a dream come true, but, you know, maybe a lot of people don't realise that it's only a dream come true if you win it, and that's what we're going out there to do, you know. We're not going out there just to fulfil a fixture, and maybe a lot has been made of the fact that Armagh are in a final, you know. It's to win the final that we're there for.
Benny Tierney has his big game coming up in 35 minutes, but they've already had their hour of glory. The Derry Miners heading around Croke Park, accepting the applause of the crowd here at Croke Park, and in particular, it has to be said, the Armagh supporters supporting the other northern team here at Croke Park this afternoon. Well, Benny Tierney then obviously will be hoping to keep those Kerry forwards from breaching his goal this afternoon. And one man that he'll definitely be keeping an eye on is the Kerry full forward Dara Canada. Well, like former Armagh captain Jimmy Smith, Dara is also involved in the world of broadcasting, as Dara works for Radio Gaeltachta. His base, the stunning setting of the Dingle Peninsula.
Fanlin ar radio na Gaeltachta be míle neisleat a gan gáinómat téis an písa fógraíochta sa.
Dara, if we might interrupt you for a second, what you do here in Radio na Gaeltachta is completely different to what most people see at Dara Canada, the footballer.
Yeah, I suppose there's a bit of a contrast, all right, but this is my job now and has been for the last 2 years. I started, let's say, around September, I suppose, 2000, and I've been working steadily here between different divisions, between the news and between music shows and all that, and chat shows ever since.
As a place to go to work, you couldn't pick nicer.
Yeah, well, you don't have traffic jams anyway. That's one big thing, I suppose. And I suppose you might meet a few cows on the road, and that's about the size of it, But it really, it's very important for me, I feel, to be living close to home, close to the, let's say, I won't say the scenery, but the mountains, the fields, the beaches, let's say, and to be within travelling distance of training as well. It's definitely one of the most beautiful parts of the country, Michael. You're right there. You've
done all this before, but are you looking forward to this final?
Yeah, definitely. It's where you want to be as a footballer, I suppose. In September and All-Ireland final day. It's my third one now personally. A lot of the lads have been around before, and it's great. And that's where we want to be. Makes all the hard work all year worthwhile. And at the same time, there's a huge task. And we have to be very, very mindful of that. It's a great occasion, but it can't be a great occasion for us. It's just a game of football that we have to play it and we have to win.
If Kerry do win this All-Ireland, when can your employers here in Radio na Gaeltachta expect to hear the next broadcast from you?
Good question, Michael, I suppose. If we do win, hopefully it'll take a bit of time. They've been very understanding up to now, so hopefully they'll understand if we won't show the face for a couple of days anyway.
Dara, I know you're busy here. Armagh gotally.
Paul Trot, Michael. Agus sinné Armagh ar a glása camchort tráthána ar Radio na Gaeltachta gur maithagad as na chomhdúidir ní bhetse a bhfuair damhanta de dáin se chuún ach beag spórta dánig láthir a Radio na Gaeltachta lámór ag barca Croke de dánig ar a Kerry agus ar bhacha súlagan go méigad de chumas bheithnar dáint ar a lásan go dtí go mbeadh a bhacha chéile ríist slán is benacht.
Yeah, Dara Canada, who does a programme there on Radio na Gaeltachta on Friday evenings from 2 o'clock to 3. Worth listening into, some nice music and that as well. Also a newsreader with Radio na Gaeltachta. Down on the pitch right now, we have the set dancers in full bloom and entertaining the crowd here. This is the Kilcommon set dancers, that's north of Killarney. It's an area indeed I know very well because stage 2 of the Rally of the Lakes is down there, and a nasty little stage it is too. Not quite as enjoyable as these set dancers here. Yes, also there we saw the Kerry Cruppen set dancers, they from Armagh, and actually if I Kerry Cruppen just about a mile or so outside Newry. If you're heading to Belfast on the Newry bypass, you turn off to the left and it's just out the road there. Nice GA club out there as well. So that's part of the build-up then to the afternoon, a half an hour to go to the throw-in to the senior final. But what's happening right now down on the pitch, or very shortly at least, will be the presentation of the Jubilee team. This is the Dublin team of 1976 and 1977, about to be introduced to the crowd down there.
Introductions, it's the Dublin team of 76-77. Making the introductions, and next coming up along there, of course,
right half back was Tommy Drum of Whitehall Column Kills, who captained the Dubs to the 83 All-Ireland.
a really cultured right half, of course, Tommy Drun.
Kevin Moran from Good Counsel was centre half back. His run at the start of the 76 final will always be remembered.
Yes, a huge cheer for Kevin Moran, the find of the 1976 season.
Pat O'Neill from Civil Service was left half back. An all-star in 77, Pat managed Dublin to the 95 All-Ireland title.
Yes, he was the man who brought back Sam, led the team in 95.
At midfield, Brian Mullins of St Vincent's won All-Stars both years and went on to win another All-Ireland in 1983.
Brian, with Kerry blood in his veins, of course, and a never-say-die
Brian's
attitude.
partner was Bernard Brogan from St Oliver Plunkett's. His son, Alan, is on the current Dublin team.
Bernard Brogan scored the second
Anton
of two
O'Toole
wonderful
of
goals
Sing
against
Street
Kerry in
was right
77.
half forward and was known as the Blue Panther.
It's the Blue Panther himself,
David
Anton
Hickey
O'Toole.
from Raheny at left half forward was one of the finest wing forwards in the game.
Scored a lot from the left
Bobby
wing for
Doyle
Dublin.
of St Vincent's was at right corner forward and an all-star both years.
Great sight to see him coming tearing through defences.
Jimmy Keaveney from St Vincent's, the full forward and the free taker, scored a record 2-6 in the 77 final.
One of the deadliest placed kickers, Jimmy.
John McCarthy of Nafiana was in the left corner and scored 1-2 in the 77 decider.
John McCarthy getting a big cheer from the capacity crowd here.
Fran Ryder from St Vincent's came on in the 76 final.
Key member of the panel, later the trainer of the Dublin team.
Paddy Gogarty from Raheny was a substitute in the same match.
Paddy taking his
Paddy Riley from St Margaret's
bow
was a
here, as it were.
substitute in the 77 All-Ireland final.
Paddy Riley
Alan
from the St.
Larkin from
Margaret's.
Raheny came on in the same game.
Later went on to do a lot of very valuable coaching.
Bernard's brother Jim Brogan of St Oliver Plunkett's was a substitute in the 77 decider.
And of course he was a Dublin selector with the man we saw a
Brendan
little while ago
Pocock
there,
was
Pat
one of
O'Neill.
9 St Vincent's players on the Dublin panel.
Brendan Pocock.
Leslie Deegan of St Vincent's got the winning score against Offaly in 74, which started the run for the team. Norman Bernard of St Vincent's was the substitute goalkeeper.
Norman, who was substitute, of course, to the very
Mick
famous
Hickey from
goalkeeper
Raheny
himself,
unfortunately
Paddy
can't be
Cullen.
with us today. Liam Egan from Scully Connell came from the under-21 team, which reached the 75 All-Ireland.
Famous All-Ireland.
Dermot Marr from Kilmacud Crokes was part of the senior setup until 1980.
Had a good career. Dublin to
Martin
county
Noctor
level.
of Thomas Davis was a stylish forward and an accomplished free taker.
The bearded Martin.
Johnny Corcoran of Aaron's Isle had also come from that 75 under-21 team.
So many players coming through at that particular time.
And Kevin Sinnott from Lucan Sarsfields was a member of the panel since 1973.
Kevin Sinnott, the last man.
Accordia, let us acclaim this year's Jubilee team, the Dublin footballers of 1976 and 1977.
Led by Tommy Hanaho, 76-77.
Well, I think it will be a lot closer than people expect. I think Armagh have a realistic chance if they can hold Kerry in the first half and stop the inside forwards getting a few scores on the board. They'll keep the confidence levels low, and if they're in the game in the second half, they have a realistic chance. But I honestly feel the class of Kerry to date, they certainly have been, oozing class right the way through, and I fancy Kerry to win it.
Yeah, I fancy Kerry to win today. Just judging on their current form, the last two performances have been fantastic. They're the equivalent of Kilkenny in Gaelic football. They've super talent, athleticism. Now nobody's going to beat Armagh by too much at all, and I expect quite a close game. But having learned Kerry from last year's defeat to Meath and this year to Cork in the Championship, they still have a lot to prove, and I fancy them to prevail today.
A neighbour of mine won a television on Red Cup Tea in 1962, and all the people around the place decided to go to Mrs. Kenny's house to see the All-Ireland final, but the house was full. There was more people outside of the house than inside of the house, so they decided to take the window out of the house for all the people outside to see the telly. That was something I remember.
Madam, everything in order? And there's no one I'd rather be. I just wished I had.
Never ever drink and drive. Could you live with the shame? From the National Safety Council, supported by AXA Insurance.
I said I'd laugh when you left me, pull a funny as you went out the door.
A Nissan dealer gets to know a used car very well before awarding the Gold Standard badge, so it's not surprising he may be a little sad to see another drive away.
Spoiled my act as a clown. I had it made up not to make a frown, but a little bit.
Nissan Gold Standard. New standards for used cars.
Alternative therapy, it really works for me.
Join the healthcare revolution. Join Bupa Ireland. Call 1890 700 890.
Kate's just used her mortgage to pay for a dream holiday. Her new one-plan mortgage account comes with a checkbook so she can use her mortgage to buy what she wants. Does your mortgage come with a checkbook? Thought not. One Plan, the mortgage with a checkbook from Permanent TSB, the bank you can get on with.
I think Kerry will win, to be honest. I think they have the firepower up front, and I think their middle eight, their midfield and the half-back line and the full back line have kind of improved since we played them last. I don't know much about Armagh. We haven't played against them in the last 2 or 3 years, but I think if they tighten up maybe their defence on Sunday, I think, hopefully they can, kind of curb a bit of the firepower that Kerry have, but overall I think, Kerry have all the aces really.
If I was to go for a winner, I think Armagh, solely due to the fact if they can keep it tight, if they're thereabout with 10 minutes to go. They have been mentally tested in tight games. Kerry haven't been, so I think Armagh might shade it.
Armagh might shade it, then again it could be Kerry. That's all the speculation going into the big game. We're going to know the truth in the next hour or two here at Croke Park. The Armagh team due out in just a moment or two on the pitch, followed then 2 minutes later by the Kerry team. Pat Spillane, Tony Davis was telling me there a moment ago, he was talking to me, Hall O'Shea, our minor commentator, before the minor match about the senior game, and that he's not at all confident about the Kerry team and reckons that they might be beaten today.
Well, certainly there isn't, the bookies have Kerry's odds on favour. Certainly there isn't that feeling in Kerry because, as I said earlier on, this is the sort of team that Kerry don't want to play. If they played Dublin, it would have been a very open footballing game. Dublin would have left them play football. This is a team that's going to, you're going to have a very interesting clash because it's a clash of contrasting styles. Kerry have the pace, they have the flair, they have the class, we know that, but they've got to keep the game open and they've got to move the ball fast and they've got to utilise the wide open spaces of Croke Park. Armagh will try to do the exact opposite. Armagh are going to try to suffocate Kerry. They're going to try to keep the game tight in the middle third. They're going to block off the spaces in front and they're going to to try to physically dominate their opponents. I mean, it's a bit of a clash like Manchester United against Wimbledon, the aristocrats against the dour dogged. But Wimbledon won a cup final, and Kerry people know goddamn well that it's Beauty and the Beast, but this beast can play football damn good. And the bottom line is, if Armagh are positive and take the game to Kerry, I'll tell you this, it's going to be a very, very close one. They're confidence, but not overconfidence in Kerry.
Armagh are leaving nothing short in their preparation, Colin Rourke. They were down here in Dublin the previous 2 weekends to this weekend, over in City West, training at the St Mary's Club, going through all their paces, getting familiar with the whole territory down here.
That's right, but generally once the whistle sounds at the beginning of the game, like, players revert to old habits, and in the end class wins out. Kerry have skill and speed and athleticism. Armagh have to move up to something that we haven't seen before from them. Now, I think the biggest advantage in Kerry's favour is what Pat has been talking about in Micheál O'Shea, because there's a fear of losing. If Kerry were coming in without a fear of losing, there is a danger that they could be overconfident. I don't think that will exist now. Armagh have been a bit put out, I think, by our criticism here in the studio, particularly, you know, we haven't given them full credit. And Joe Kernan is a good friend of mine, and he's a larger-than-life figure, and I think that most neutrals would say it would be fantastic to see Armagh winning an All-Ireland final. But we're in the business of cold, ruthless analysis of a game, and that's what we're giving.
That's no doubt about that.
As far as I'm concerned, what we have seen from Kerry has been exceptional. What we have seen from Armagh has been good enough to get this far, but they're facing a team completely different in terms of class than they've faced before. And much and all, as I would like to say, it would be great, and I think Armagh would win, I think Kerry are clearly the better team.
Somebody else was making the point to me recently, Pat, that Croke Park now, because of its width, suits the wide, the running teams, the teams with the pacey forwards. They can get the ball out wide and know what to do with it.
It does. I mean, there is a lot of space there. But I mean, you look back to the game plan. Dublin were quite similar in footballing team to Kerry.
Here we go, Ben.
But Dublin got bogged down into a tight physical exchange, that which Armagh loved to be real.
Okay, Pat, we'll interrupt you there because you see Kieran McGeady with the ball in his hand, Benny Tierney behind him, because Armagh are about to take the field for the All-Ireland football final of 2002.
Yes, the big moment has come. Third time ever playing in the All-Ireland football final. Second time to face Kerry in the decider. The only other time, 1953. What a cheer, what colour. It brings back memories, to me at least, of 1977. I think that was at that stage perhaps the first of the great show of colour here at Croke Park. You look Croke Park, packed to the rafters. 80,000 people are here. So, in they go for the team photograph. Each and every one of the 13 members of the panel lining up there. I'm sure the photographers would want the starting 15 as well. It's an all-for-one, one-for-all situation. In among them there, their team manager, the charismatic Joe Kernan. I've got Martin Carney alongside me here. Martin, this is a wonderful scene. It's a great day for Armagh football. And I think there is, as I suggested to you at the semi-final time, a Kernan factor. He just brings a buzz about him.
No doubt about that, sure. He has a sense of belief about himself, actually, that transfuses and onto the rest of the team. And okay, it's the same bunch of players as we have had over the last couple of years, but he's brought that little bit of extra belief, I think, more than anything else to the team. And I suppose the players, it's very important with any manager that the players believe in him, and the fact that he has won 3 All-Irelands already with Crossmaglen, I think is a huge starting point for him. But certainly they're a much more enterprising this year, much more enterprising team this year than we have seen in the last couple of years.
Yes, 3 All-Ireland wins in 4 years for Crossmaglen. And of course he played midfield, wore the number 8 jersey in the 1977 final against Dublin. A disappointing day for Armagh, but he scored 2 goals and a point that day, which isn't half bad for a midfield star. Well, what are the key lines, do you think, in this Armagh team?
Well, to me, the key line really is their half-back line. I think it's the springboard from which everything comes, and Kieran McGeady in particular at centre half-back has been the player of the year from my point of view. And if Armagh to win it, they must continue to press forward. In the previous games, I think, in particular against Sligo, they tended to be too defensive. But the last day in the All-Ireland semi-final against Dublin, they continued to attack through the second half. And both he and his two wing-backs, Andrew McCann and Aidan O'Rourke, were absolutely superb. To me, it's the key line, along with, of course, Paul McGrain, who has to have a big game on Darragh O'Shea.
I would have thought the diamond, as we might call it, number 6, 8, 9 and 11 will be key.
Yeah, that is a fair comment, Gerard. Certainly the influence that John McEntee has on the game is immense. He falls back into the midfield area, but Toll goes back a little bit towards the centre half position, and they have this blanket defensive system then that they apply to teams. But the key, certainly, along with the half back line, will be the overall defensive structure that they can apply to a match.
There's a lovely mix of colour up on Hill 16, the giant screen in the background. Armagh and Kerry fans in there enjoying the occasion. Kerry getting the usual huge ovation and very, very big welcome for Paddy O'Shea's team, the man who holds a joint record with a few others, 8 All-Ireland winning medals. And of course now, as manager, bidding for 3 All-Ireland titles in the space of about 5 years. There's Darragh O'Kinneida there. His role is interesting as well. I've noticed in recent games, he's playing a more withdrawn role, leaving the space inside for Mike Frank and Colm Cooper.
Very true, Ger. I think all the credits and plaudits have gone to Cooper and to Michael Frank, but a lot of the donkey work, a lot of the hard space has been engineered actually by Darragh O'Kinneida, drawing the full back out from the edge of the square. And again, that's one of the little tactical nuances we have to look for today. Whether Darragh O'Kinneida stays it close or whether he continues to drift out towards the 45-metre line. He'd probably, I would anticipate, do that early on to try and create the room inside for that deadly duel.
Yes, it's a deadly duel, right? And Mike Frank capable of getting so many wonderful scores, and Colm Cooper, the find of the year, known to his pals, of course. There he is, right-hand side of the front of the picture there. He's known as Gooch or Gucci. And I was wondering during the week just why he's called Gucci, and apparently there was some time ago a Gucci doll, and somebody, it was Peter O'Brien in fact, who plays with him in Dr. Croke's, said he resembled a Gucci doll, so that's where the nickname came from. And we'll have a chance now very shortly to check the teams. No changes, we'll be glad to hear. So a completely new experience for all of these Armagh players. Benny Tierney is the last line of defence, fronted by the McNulty brothers, Enda and Justin. Kieran McGeeney secures the route to goal and plays in his 30th championship match with O'Rourke on his right and McCann on the left. It's Paul McGrain and John Toll at centre field. Oisin McConville is now on the left wing, and the inside forward line has huge potential. Stephen McDonnell joined by young Ronan Clark and of course Diarmuid Marsden. Is there a huge game in Diarmuid Marsden for Joe Kernan today, I wonder? They could certainly do with a really, really influential performance.
Yeah, that's true, but again, there's a couple of factors that will shape the game, and maybe a better performance from Marsden than he has given up to now, in particular in the scoring stakes, will be necessary from Armagh. Certainly Stephen McDonnell on the inside line needs more support than he's been getting.
Well, Kerry, with 32 titles, are bolstered, of course, by the availability of Tomás O'Shea following his suspension, following the semi-final. As usual, much will depend on the form of Seamus Moynihan. Eamon Fitzmaurice is outside of at number 6. It's Darragh O'Shea and Donald Daly in midfield. The half-forward line has been earning belated recognition, while the full-forward area has been earning all of the plaudits, and why not, with Russell, O'Kinneida and Cooper shooting 6 goals and 60 points between them this year. Fantastic scoring. All right, we'll have the action very shortly. First, let's go back to our studio, back to Michael.
Thank you very much to Gerard Canning and Martin Carney there as well. So a Kerry fan was saying to me recently, Pat Spillane, that he reckons Colm Cooper is the real deal. He's in the Maurice Fitz mode. Now, I don't know if you would necessarily agree with taking him that far, but certainly he believes he's the real deal, and so much will depend on him and Mike Frank on the other corner as well today.
Well, most of Kerry's plies to date have gone into this quick ball into space in front of this two-man full forward line. The key to it is that they've been winning midfield, and they've get quick ball, good quality ball in. And once a good forward, any forward worth his salt, once he can get that ball a yard in front or a foot in front of the defender really has no chance. And the thing about Cooper and Russell is that they're both two-footed players, lovely balance, they can kick, good points. Equally, they can also score goals. Russell, remember, they scored 2-11 between them in the semi-final, and their performance in the semi-final was absolutely superb. I remember asking Tommy Lyons the day after, what would he have done to counteract them? He said, shoot them. They were tremendous, but I mean, a gunfighter is no good without ammunition. Forwards are no good without a good, quick supply of the ball. The key to that, up to now, they've won the middle third of the field and they've won midfield. The key to that is Darragh O'Shea. He's the vital player. He's the man who picks the ball up from defence. He's the link man, and he's the man who provides that final quick ball into attack. Now, it'll be interesting what tactics Armagh are going to do to counteract Darragh's influence.
We also must look, Colin O'Rourke, at the Armagh forward line, because in there as well you have young Ronan Clark, who's just 19 years of age, the full forward, and then outside of him, Diarmuid Marsden. Now, so much is expected all the time of Diarmuid Marsden. Today is the day he must deliver it.
Yes, I've been fairly critical of Marsden because he really has let Armagh down in a lot of games, you know, and he's a player with a lot of talent, a lot of power, a lot of pace, and can score goals. But if he's ever going to do it for Armagh, today is the day. Today's the day for forwards. You know, it's dry, very, very good conditions. Sure, it should take a goal and 15 or 16 points to win this match. When you look back in the semi-final, it was the day I think that the Armagh forwards shook off the tag of sort of being the second-rate part of their team, where the defence had taken all the plaudits. Now you had in that semi-final, Paddy McKeever did well, John McEntee, Oisin McConville has always performed for them. McDonald has been very good this year, and Ronan Clark, same age as Cooper, he's done very well. So I hope today that Armagh come out and set out their stall and attack from the start.
Well, that's the lineup of the two teams, because they are about to be introduced to the President of Ireland, Mary McAleese, back again to Ger for that.
Yes, we're just awaiting the arrival of Her Excellency. And here she comes, accompanied by the President of the GAA, Sean McCaig. Husband Martin there just behind Sean. And a salute now for the President of Ireland, President Mary McAleese. First she goes across here to meet the Kerry team. And the captain, of course, Darragh O'Shea. And striking up the star of the county down, her husband Martin comes from down, and they're great football fans. Moss O'Shea, Eamon Fitzmaurice there, and that's John Sheehan. Donald Daly there. Sean O'Sullivan plays on the wing, of course. Right down along to Mike Frank, Darrow Kineda, and finally Colin Cooper. John Bannon is the match referee. It's his second time to take charge of an All-Ireland final. He's introducing his umpires. Umpires today, Johnny Marlowe, Peter O'Reilly, Tommy McCormack, and Mick Doherty. Huge occasion for all of them. I can tell you that Armagh have won the toss. They'll be playing from left to right in the first half. Now it's their turn to meet the President. And their captain leading the way there, of course, Kieran McGeady, who works for the Irish Sports Council. The McNultys, Enda and Justin. Francis Bellew there, the fair-haired man. Aidan O'Rourke. That's Andrew McCann there from Ballybowden. Tendenders now, plays here in Dublin, same as Enda McNulty. The midfielders, John Toll and Paul McGrain. Paddy McKeever, then John McEntee, big tall fellow, Oisin McConville, Stephen McDonald, Ronan Clark, and finally Diarmuid Marsden there. The Mulvihill out there accompanying the President. So she waves to the packed attendance here. Tickets next to impossible to come by. They could have filled it twice over. So now finally we're going to have the parade of the teams as the President makes her way up into the Ardcorley section, warmly greeted by the fans. So away they go behind the Artane, I can't say boys band, because there are a lot of mature people in there who graduated through the Artane School of Music, and in there for the first time ever there is a father and a son. Len Fogarty and his son Paul are playing the tunes as Dara O'Shea leads the Kerry team. Declan O'Keefe just behind him there. Declan, who's a very fine goalkeeper, playing in his 35th championship match this afternoon. And what an honour as well for Kieran McGeeney, third Armagh captain ever, to take his team round Croke Park like this. Will it be their day? Well, I think we were intimating among ourselves, I suppose, that the key to winning it from an Armagh perspective is to try and, I suppose, saturate midfield, win possession there, and deny those two lively inside forwards, Mike Russell and Colm Cooper.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, Ger, actually, just to mention. First of all, Armagh, by winning the toss, are going to have the advantage of the wind, and I think that's a critical decision, actually, because of the fact that in the last couple of games Kerry have played, they've managed to build up big leads and go in at half-time with more or less the games won. So if Armagh can be in front by 5 or 6 points at the half-time, it'll give a new dynamic and a new dimension to Kerry to have to face up to in the second half. And I think it's going to be crucial that Armagh make the benefit of this win. I'm just looking at the parade actually at the moment, and I often think it's very difficult for players because they've got to try and separate the event that they're involved in at the moment from the actual game. And their retention of concentration is very, very important at the moment. And okay, the whole thing, we talk about this buzzword of focus, but keeping a focus, keeping the whole thing of getting first to the ball must be retained by every one of them. And one of the other issues, to expect the unexpected, Ger. You never know what will happen in the first 5 minutes of the game, so the mental preparation of expecting the unexpected and being able to react properly to it, I think, is very, very important.
Well, it's the biggest match of the year. It's unrehearsed drama from the players' point of view, from our point of view here. One interesting statistic, in the last 18 championship matches that Kerry has played, they've been ahead in 14 of them at half-time. You mentioned the wind a little while ago, Martin, and they won each and every one of those 14. The matches where they were behind, 4 matches where they were behind, at half-time they lost.
That's very interesting, Ger. But the other statistic, actually, I think we'd also hone in on is that in their last number of games, I think through the championship, they've scored 15 goals to Armagh 7. And I think myself that could actually come down to the difference between the two teams is their goal scoring capacity that has particularly improved as they have gone through the qualifiers.
It's a moment when you want time just to stand still. You're looking forward to the action. But it's the final game in the championship, barring a replay, which would be on the first Sunday in October. This is, by the way, the 69th championship match in football this year. And you think in the past, would have had a season maybe of perhaps 30-31 games. This is phenomenal.
Yes, certainly the qualifiers has given a new dimension completely to Gaelic football, both in terms of its coverage and in terms of the quality we have got. And over the last number of months here, we have got absolute wonderful occasions here and wonderful entertainment in Croke Park. And please God, today will be a repeat of that again.
In particular, I suppose, from the time we got towards the provincial final stage. From that stage onwards, it's been marvellous.
Yes, indeed, Ger. And one of the things actually that I think has been a factor in Croke Park is that every day we've come up here, it has been dry, it has been sunny, with perhaps they being the exception. But there have been wonderful ground conditions for players to showcase their wares.
Will Kerry be able to reproduce the form of the first half in particular against Cork when they blitz them? Can Armagh close them down? Their fans are going to will them to victory.
Well, certainly taking up on that point, I think overall the whole motivating factor, the memory of last year, I think is still very much in Kerry's heads. And to me, only a winning in All-Ireland will give them redemption. And it's great credit to their powers of recovery that, having been beaten by Cork, they've rediscovered a team and they've tried to the qualifiers. From Armagh's point of view, this is the last chance saloon. They have great win power that sometimes I think borders in desperation. And again, they have the siege mentality today wrapped around them. They're underdogs, and to my mind, they have performed better when underdogs. So I think we have a wonderful game in prospect.
I'm sure Paddy has been drilling it into them to remember last year's semi-final. As you say, they only scored 5 points, which was remarkable in its own way. They don't want to repeat that. The Armagh team going into their huddle there with their mentors. This is the moment. There you see Paul Grimley in the middle. Joe Kernan there with his back to us. And the team trainer is John McCluskey. Darren O'Neill, the basketball coach with Marion this season, he's been doing an awful lot of work behind the scenes with them. He's there as well. And now, before we start, as usual, Armagh na bhíonn. Tenor Paul Byram there singing our national anthem. What an occasion. Let's hope it's a great game. As usual, we wish each and every player out there the very best. Nobody wants to have a stinker on the biggest day in football. Mike Frank Russell there from Lone Rangers. Dara O'Kineda, who we saw a little feature on there with his work in Radio na Gaeltachta. Seamus Moynihan. He'll have a big role here in this match up against 19-year-old Ronan Clark, who's the second youngest player playing in today's final. Colm Cooper is the youngest by a couple of months. So John Bannon ready to take charge. John from Longford. And here we are up in the commentary position, and we're wishing everybody around the world a very pleasant afternoon. Hope you enjoy it. It's the 115th All-Ireland football final, the Bank of Ireland final, and straight away it is John Toll firing it in there. They look for possession, they look for a decent start. Ronan Clark has it. Spills away, Moynihan puts out his hand. Still dangerous. That's Stephen MacDonald feeding it back. And that has gone over the bar, and it's Andrew McCann who, or is it? No. It's been ruled out. McCann was the player who got one of those memorable goals in the 2000 series, both matches of course against Kerry. Draw and replay, and the replay went to a half an hour of extra time. It was marvellous entertainment. Darragh O'Shea, will he dominate midfield? Declan O'Keefe kicking. McGrain reaching out, comes back there towards Oisin McConville. Once again it's the attacking left half back. Loves to go forward, McCann. Will this one land between the posts? It will, and it's Stephen McDowell. First point then coming inside the first minute and a half. Good start by Armagh.
There's a significantly on two occasions there. Andrew McCann got forward from left half back position. There he is giving the ball. McDonald on his right foot. Great score.
Well, his marker will have to track back with him. Paddy O'Shea, as always, pacing up and down the line. Vastly experienced coach. Fisted back down this time by Darragh O'Shea. Back to his own man. His brother, in fact, Chumos. In towards Dara O'Kineda. Lovely turn, getting away there from Justin McNulty. Interesting tie-up there. Brosnan lets it run away. Opportunities. Hassett playing it back here to Mike Frank Russell, and that sails over the bar. The teams are level. Good lively start by both teams. This is it again here. And the influential Liam Hassett playing it out to Mike Frank, and Mike does the rest. What a talent. This to be kicked out by the very colourful Benny Tierney. Real name Brendan, but known to everybody in football as Benny. McGrain rises. Fisted back down by Darragh O'Shea. He's already playing a big role. Early stages, however. tearing through here, looking for support, getting it there. Sean O'Sullivan. High up into the air, the umpires readjust their positioning just to see where it's going to go, and it's gone back to Armagh, or has it? Again, it's Darragh O'Shea, pursued the whole time there by Kieran McGeeney, and kicked wide in the end there by Liam Hassett. He's disappointed. He was the captain, of course, when they won the cup back in 1997.
No, it's early stages yet, Ger, but it's interesting to see that Darragh O'Shea is breaking the first couple of kickouts that come his way, and already both Michael Frank Russell and Colin Cooper are proving quite elusive in the corners.
Just to look at the marking in midfield, Donald Daly has been marked by John Toll. Paul McGrain is on Darragh O'Shea. Armagh get it ahead here to McGrain. Probing ball inside, Moynihan rising up for it, it drops down. Could go anywhere, and it's again Stephen McDonald, and he's put it over the bar. Great start. Armagh fans thrilled. Their team is settled. They lead Kerry. Here it comes again. That ball pumped in there dangerously. Could have gone anywhere. Broke loose here to Stephen McDonald. Didn't even think about a goal.
Yes.
Points to do nicely.
And repeated the tactic used repeatedly in the semi-final by putting in quick high ball in there and picking up the breaks and scoring.
Kieran McGeeney leading this one. Taken back down, but gifted here to Aidan O'Rourke, the attacking wing-back. McDonald in the corner, in there against Mike McCarthy. Spreading the play this time. Well, Armagh retained their possession. Dummy sold this way and that. Banged over the bar again, is it? Yes! And it's Ronan Clark this time. Taking a nice pass, acknowledging that, and Joe Kernan and his fellow selectors very pleased with this opening. So the 19-year-old took that pass well and played it beautifully between the posts. Very confident start.
Yeah, but a great crossfield ball, I think, in the first place from Stephen McDonald to John McEntee that set up this score. And already Armagh are starting to kind of impose their style of football with their variation in their attacks.
McEntee's gone way out inside his own 65-metre line, and Eamon Fitzmaurice has followed him out there. The tactic, I think, to smother midfield as much as they can. John Sheehan leaves it behind, this time to McEntee. A wayward pass. An Armagh player down on the ground, requiring some attention, and it's McEntee who's the injured player. McEntee from Crossmaglen. His twin brother, of course, is in the panel as well, and the team doctor in straight away there to attend to him. That's Sean Digney. A couple of Apaches have come down. All kinds of headgear, loads of colour. Well, they'll want McEntee back on his feet fairly quickly. Remember him playing against Kerry at under-21 stage at one level. They played in the All-Ireland semi-final up in Parnell Park a few years ago. James Moynihan to kick this. Down towards Mike Frank Russell. Francie Bellew was there. Still is. Good retention of possession. They get it forward towards their full forward, who has drifted. Ronan Clark trying to set up Stephen McDonald, and he's leaving it behind this time to Mike Frank Russell, way back. Lots of movement by the players. John Sheehan, Kerry's left half back, nicely inside towards the centre forward, who is Owen Brosnan. An ambitious ball in towards Cooper. Gooch looking for a score, trying to go this way and that, and he's kicked a beauty. First point for Colin Cooper. First opportunity as well. He's going to prove a handful. 3-2. And it is Armagh's best marker is on him, as you can see, Enda McNulty. But Cooper getting just first run on it.
And what a beautifully balanced player Cooper is, the way he was able to slither around that time and put the ball over the bar. Very, very difficult to mark.
You never can be quite sure with a player like Cooper whether his best foot is right or left. Very versatile player as Armagh take it back, and Kieran McGuinney, their captain, again the typical diagonal pass. They anticipate. Back it comes here towards Paddy McKeever. Probing ball in once more, touchdown. McDonald trying to set something up for Oisin McConville. McConville has put it wide. Were there to be a penalty in this match for Armagh, and Armagh fans won't want to be reminded of that following their past experiences in All-Ireland finals, it would be McConville who would take it. The last time he took a championship goal from a penalty was 1999. That was against Down, Ulster final.
Yes, already in the midfield area, Armagh winning the most of the breaking balls, and that's a sign of the hunger they have. And Kerry need to get a little bit more aggressive in the middle eight and going in for that break.
O'Keefe belting it down the centre towards the tall men, and they anticipate well. It's noticeable that Owen Brosnan has come in there to help from the kick out so that Kerry can retain possession. Motoring forward again here, good run. Outside towards Liam Hassett. Still has support ahead there. Sean O'Sullivan was in support. Played inside once again towards Owen Brosnan. Intended for Darragh O'Kinney, who went low to collect this one. Opportunities presenting themselves, and it's Darragh O'Shea who came from the midfield but couldn't avail of the opportunity. So another wide. 3-2 still for Armagh. That's the second wide for Kerry. Benny Tierney from Mullabone. He's a school teacher. Good leap in the air there, once again by Donald Daly. Couldn't take possession here. However, ball touched on the ground. Free kick to Armagh. John Banham with the call, and it'll be Kieran McGuinney with the kick. Towards Stephen MacDonald this time. Mike McCarthy gets it away as far as Liam Hassett. Back once again. Darragh O'Shea going to pick out a colleague. It was Colm Cooper. Just never really had much opportunity of getting that one. Well, it hit on Armagh's players' hands, so retention of possession for Kerry. Eamon Fitzmaurice setting up Darragh O'Shea, tearing away there. Oisin McConville back, helping out his defence. Still O'Shea, players calling for it. Once again, it's Colm Cooper. Bad ball. It's given away. Good block down. Excellent block by Donald Daly. The kick in the end is by Owen Brosnan, and he has put it over the bar. Man who scored that wonder goal against Kildare in an earlier round of the championship, and it's level once more. Well, the block down here was absolutely imperative. This is the point that resulted from that block down, so great play by Kerry.
Yes, indeed, great play by Donald Daly, who's often undervalued, I think, by a lot of Kerry folk as they foil to Darragh O'Shea.
Here he comes again. Missed the Munster Championship, came back for the game against Wicklow. He's been there ever since. This is a decent run by the man who is the speed merchant of the forward line, Sean O'Sullivan himself, switching from the right wing to the left, inside towards Mike Frank Russell, feeding it back here. And it's a great ball over the bar. Russell is the one who kicks it. The pass coming back to him there from Cooper, and it's 4 points to 3. Here it is again here. It's the unselfish nature of Colm Cooper setting it up for the man who was coming through, the flying Mike Frank Russell. Well, that's the first time that Kerry are leading in this final. Benny Tierney switching it across here towards McEntee. Drops down. Again, McGuinney coming steaming through the centre. Kicked ahead by Justin McNulty this time, and they're trying to bring Stephen MacDonald into it, but it's a line ball for Kerry, as you can see. Mike McCarthy has followed Steve MacDonald across there. Looking for some openings here. That's a great catch, beautifully taken down there. Good work. Armagh once again setting up an attack. Just goes beyond Paddy McKeever. Gratefully taken back here. Spread ahead by Dara O'Shea. The other Dara Kineda. And again, no chance in the world for Colin Cooper to take possession. That's the second time players have been trying to reach him, but the passes have been very poor.
Yeah, interesting actually that Dara Kineda is going out into the right half forward position and trying to draw Justin McNulty away from the edge of the square.
Dropped down by Paul McGrain there. And John Toll caught. No question about the free kick. Has formed a very good alliance. He's a young player, John Toll, with Paul McGrain. Again, they're trying to get players like Dermot Marsden involved a bit more. Ball picked off the ground, free kick. This is set down towards Liam Hassett. Nicely back, Donald Daly. Dara O'Shea, said by many people to be heading the accolade of Footballer of the Year. Long way to go for that. This man is a former Player of the Year, Seamus Moynihan. Back out to O'Shea. Good little block, but it still reaches Colin Cooper. He picked it off the ground. Free kick to Armagh. And surely Cooper was not back the requisite distance. Armagh could get an extra 13 metres, they're going to get so. Kieran McGeaney plays for the Fianna. Angling this one across, nicely taken down. It's back to Ronan Clark, hitting it from 45 metres out. It's a big one. Has it got the distance? It has. It's one of the points of the game. 19-year-old Ronan Clark delighting the Armagh fans. And it's 4 points apiece. That was a wonderful kick from a huge distance out. It's a sign that he's settled really well. Stephen MacDonald setting him up. They have a good understanding. That was a mighty kick, just over the crossbar.
Yeah, and a very deliberate strategy actually by Armagh to isolate the two men inside in the full forward line, both Stephen MacDonald and Ronan Clark. Put the ball in high, as they did repeatedly against Dublin, and both Clark and MacDonald are causing problems for Seamus Moynihan and Micheál McCarthy, and they've already registered 2 points each.
Well, that was the first point that Armagh scored for 10 minutes, and there's concern about John McEntee. Now, he had the injury earlier on, and I'm just wondering, is he suffering from slight concussion?
Well, certainly was a head injury he got early on, Ger, and they're looking at the head in this case, so maybe there's a problem there.
Well, he's a player that could ill afford to lose. He's gone in towards the full forward line. Whether he stays there or not is another matter. Notice that Dermot Marsden has come out onto the half forward line. Playing on the 40 right now, being marked by Eamon Fitzmaurice. Fisted down this time by Paul McGrain. Bit of a big road to play yet. Sullivan kicking it in, and it's Enda McNulty did really well, showed marvellous athleticism to take it down and get it under some kind of control. And McGrain once again taking it forward. Here's a chance. This is John McEntee, I should say, and John McEntee gets his first point. Well, showing no ill effects of the knock earlier on. That's a great score. We're seeing some wonderful long-range shooting in this match.
Indeed, Gerald, that was a great bit of anticipation by Andy McNulty, and a great ball inside here. There's McNulty again. Had he not got that, Cooper was right through. But the ball then goes right up, and they seem to have this long-range kicking strategy at the moment. Shoot on sight, great ball from John McEntee.
It's wonderful to watch. Little nudge there, I think, by John Toll. Kerry get it back through to Mols O'Shea. Inside towards Dara. O'Kineda here, the man from Unweltucht. Hitting it in. Oof. He was in the square. It's a free out. Never a bit of anticipation here as the ball came in from Dara O'Kineda. And watch where Gooch ended up in the net.
Yes,
the referee has decided he was in the square before the ball came in.
Yeah, it's a good call by John Bannon actually, because Gooch Cooper was just in there marginally before the ball arrived.
John Bannon's a very calm referee. Oh, it's fumbled by John Toll. McGrain is needed to come and assist him. They transferred around there. Kieran McGeaney gets his free kick. Armagh by a point. They're looking to try and set Oisin McConville up here. Will he prove to be a match winner? MacDonald is doing nicely. Oh, as I say it, I put the commentator's curse on him. His poorest effort so far. 3 wides now for Armagh. MacDonald, who has scored 4 goals and 18 points now in Championship football today, playing in his 17th Championship game. Declan O'Keefe, the Cork City-based Garda, comes from Rathmore, which is right on the boundary, of course, between Cork and Kerry. One of our microphones gone flying there. Daly coming, but it's fisted away by John Toll. Picked up here very nicely indeed by Eamon Fitzmaurice. Cooper not getting much of a chance, got enough purchase on it to get into Owen Brosnan. Set back up towards Cooper again, nice pass from Darragh O'Shea, and that is going to be a free in. This is where Kerry will probably draw level. Well, there's a ticking against the name of Enda McNulty there. The Darragh O'Kineda. Chance to get his first point. There's his angle. Should be quite easy for him. And is. So his first point of the day coming from the free kick. And they're level once again. Well, thankfully there's been good flow in the match, great long-range kicking as well, and that was actually the first point we've had of the 10 so far from a free.
Yes, indeed, Chair. There's been very enterprising attacking by both attacks. And the game, I must say, is great flow to it, lovely pace to it, and building up into a fine match.
Kicked inside here by Paul McGrain, but won back by Seamus Moynihan. Now Fitzmaurice, they wait. Support coming there in the shape of Mark O'Shea. His brother Darragh now. And he might as well bring the whole family into it. Tomas loves to attack. Nicely inside to Mike Frank Russell. Transfer back towards Darragh O'Kineda. He blazes this one high and he puts it over the bar. That's 2 points now by Darragh O'Kineda in the space of about a minute. That is now 120 points he has scored in Championship football. This was a lovely movement. It started right at the back with Mark O'Shea. All the O'Shea family were involved. Everybody bar Paddy. Yes,
a lovely bit of a calm set up initially, and then the pace came into the game. The lovely transfer from Michael Frank to Darragh O'Kineda, and an incisive finish.
Daly doing a lot of the jumping in midfield, leaping well in the air, holding it up now, waiting for some support to come his way. Sean O'Sullivan up against Andrew McCann. He'll run at him. He loves to tear down the line. Player of great pace. He's the fastest player on this Kerry team. This time he's dispossessed. They struggle, however, Armagh to get it away. Back it comes towards Mike Frank Russell. 45 metres out. Fitzmaurice is coming into the breach here. Challenged by Marsden, but Marsden can do nothing about it. And he's kicked it over. The man from Finuge very, very rarely scores in the Championship. It's 7 points to 5. Those points by Darragh O'Kineda and this latest one by Fitzmaurice just opening up a little bit of a gap. But still early stages, only 22 minutes gone in the first half.
Yeah, again a lovely example of patient and composed football, and a great point by Eamon Fitzmaurice, and that'll do his confidence no harm whatsoever, because he's had a couple of bad games coming into this, and certainly he's grown into this game. He's been marked by Dermot Barton at the moment.
Well, it looks as though John McEntee is about to depart the scene here. McGeaney stepping in. Oh, Ronan Clark was in there, but it's nicely caught. And there was some holding, and it's going to be a free. John McEntee, I think, may well be concussed. That would be my reading of it. Free kick is taken quickly anyway. Moynihan has it back again. We think it'll be Barry O'Hagan who'll come on. Barry from the Clonmel club in Lurgan. Suddenly there are gaps. Kerry now trying to impose their will on this game. Back it comes towards Daly once again. Has support if he needs it. Brosnan going through. Picked up here by Liam Hassett, and Hassett kicks a beautiful point. Much of the spade work done in more just before that by Owen Brosnan. And the substitution now is being made, and McEntee, who scored that very fine point, but is clearly unable to continue, so Barry O'Hagan comes back into the action. He scored a goal and 12 points in championship football. Another injury here is to Aidan O'Rourke, brother of Cahill, of course, who's one of our substitutes for Armagh. They come from the Drummond Club. Confirmation then of the first substitution of the afternoon. But an enforced substitution. O'Rourke is okay, back in the action. And it's interesting that in the restructure of the forward line for Armagh, Barry O'Hagan has gone into full forward in place of John McEntee, of course. And now, as I said, he's moved back out again, out onto the 40. Benny Tierney's kick out. Lots of players contending for it. O'Kineda kicks it in towards Cooper. Lovely transfer off here. Brosnan's coming through. Is there a goal here? Inside towards Mike Frank Russell. And it might just have got a touch by the goalkeeper. It's a point in any case. Mike Frank has now kicked 3 points, and he's causing problems for Francie Bellew.
Yes, and they're running at the Armagh defence at the moment, and certainly it's beginning to look ominous for Armagh. The speed, the pace of the half-forward line, the support play is fantastic. That time Brosnan cuts right through the middle. Delayed maybe slightly, Michael Frank, and having a go. Eventually took the point, but a goal was on.
I think it came off a back. Watch it again here. Okay, may have come off Kieran McGeaney, in fact. Just watch it again here. Bellew's beaten. That's 3 kicks on the target now, and it's 3 points. Good work by Mike Frank Russell.
Yes, and great work by this guy also. Donald Daly, who's had a first 25 minutes. He's been exceptionally good.
Yes, one of the stars of the final. Dara O'Shea is beaten by Paul McGrain. Transferred back to McGeaney. Huge run in. It breaks back down here towards Diarmuid Marsden. And it's over the bar. Diarmuid Marsden gets his first point. That'll do his confidence a lot of good. Another one of the Clonmel players. Well, it was a Clonmel man who led them into their last final in 1977, over 25 years ago, Jimmy Smith. And this was a good kick, a good score.
Yes, and he's actually playing an interesting role. He's more or less out around the half-forward line, being followed by Mark O'Shea, allowing the little bit of space for Clark and for MacDonald inside him.
One of the problems from Armagh from a scoring point of view, they went 10 minutes without a score, and now they've gone 10 minutes again, up to the time that point went in from Diarmuid Marsden. Kieran McGeaney towards MacDonald. Ready to take Mike McCarthy around various parts of Croke Park. Oisin McConville hasn't scored so far. That's a bad kick. It bounces awkwardly there, but it's brought under control eventually by Seamus Moynihan. He was held in possession. There's always a Kerry player free, looking to make the pass easy for the man taking it out of defence. Daly had it. Here he has it again. He really does an immense amount of work. Back there towards Liam Hassett. A measured build here by Kerry once again. This is a great chance, and it's wide by Owen Brosnan. That was a great chance at the opening goal of the game.
What is mesmerising to watch here, the slow build-up, and then all of a sudden the speed is injected into it by Brosnan here, running through. Probably, just drifts the ball wide of the post.
Kerry bidding to do what Galway did last year, lose a championship match, come back in by the side door. My goodness, the water bottle man. And there's Brian Cody there, here to enjoy the occasion. Pressure off today, and he's got that All-Ireland victory 2 weeks ago. I'm sure the celebration's still going on. That's Andrew McCann. Great block. Darragh Kinnaird showing the other side of his game, coming back, working tirelessly and blocking that from John Toll. Aidan O'Rourke kicking it in. Mark O'Shea watching it sail past him. He gets it back. Fitzmaurice. Again, they work it out. Seamus Moynihan. Real 15-man game in the real sense. They're playing some beautiful football. Daly. Taken in nicely here by John Sheehan. Big leap in the air by Mike Frank Russell. He was the last one to touch it. Well, he'll want to see his team settle a bit more now. Not let the lead slip too much. 3 between them. John Toll. This is Barry O'Hagan. In there against Fitzmaurice. Held in possession. Rapidly taken free kick. Marsden lets it sail inside, but he's anticipating, but it doesn't come back to him. Darragh O'Shea instead is there. And this is Seamus Moynihan. They look very composed. Mark O'Shea taking it out here. Ready to play anywhere. They anticipate that at some future stage he'll be probably out in the half back line. Nicely forward there. Inside towards Cooper, runs beyond him there. McNulty was in on top of him. Both players ending up on the ground. Kerry fans, I think, feeling there might have been a free kick. None was given. Fitzmaurice getting it forward towards Liam Hassett. Back it comes to Darragh O'Shea again. He's been given a lot of latitude. The two Kerry men are quite dominant in midfield. Here's Daly. They're setting up attack after attack. This time it's Colm Cooper who goes down. This time there is a free kick, and it's Enda McNulty who fouls him. He's already been ticked, so it could well be the first yellow card of the match.
Listen, I think it has to be said, Gerard, that Kerry are controlling the tempo and the pace of the game, and they seem to have an awful lot of room out around the middle of the field when they get the ball, and they have this style where they can slow the game up, keep calm, keep possession, and then inject the pace into it, and they're deadly when they do that. The variation is wonderful to watch. So the first card being shown by referee John Bannon. Well, there was a bit of persisting fouling there, really, because there might have been a free in just before that. Darragh Kinnaird, 2 points so far. Remember, it's Armagh who have the breeze in the first half. That's a very fine kick. Expertly struck. And now there are 4 points between the teams. About 3.5 minutes of normal time left in this first half. Yes, Kerry have assumed complete control in the last 10 minutes or so, and Armagh need to get somebody to start winning a bit of ball around the middle of the field to get those two inside players with a more regular supply of the ball.
Well, on the plus side, as that bounces over the head there of Barry O'Hagan, Armagh have not conceded a goal so far, but they're still under pressure. It's incessant at this stage. Everybody wants to take it forward. Cross towards Cooper, and somehow Darragh Kinnaird managed to hold on to it, and finally in the end Colm Cooper drops it over the bar. It's his second point. 2 shots at the target, 2 points. The Kerry fans absolutely happy, and the Armagh young man here, well, I'm sure he's full of hope still. 11-6. This was nicely built up again, but there's so much pressure on Armagh. No sooner do the backs get the ball out, it's coming straight back into their faces again.
Yes, the support play for the Kerry forward line is supreme to watch.
They always produce great footballers. And these are really talented young players. Darragh O'Shea, again waiting for the run of Mike Frank Russell, anticipating. O'Shea has gone forward as well, didn't come his way. Mike Frank decided to have a pot, puts it wide, and that's now 4 wides for Kerry.
Yes, and I think 1 or 2 of the Armagh backs are starting to take water at the moment. They're finding it very difficult to stay with the pace of Russell and Cooper. But again, the supply from outfield is of a very high quality.
Well, you've got politicians there. The Mr. Sport is there. Jerry Adams, Enda Kenny as well. Some of the politicians. And of course the Taoiseach here in front of us, John McKay, president of the GAA. Kieran McGeeney, beaten for it by Owen Brosnan. Again, there's so much pressure on the backs. Just struggling to get the ball out of their own half. The run here is by Paddy McKeever. Good run. McKeever thought about the pass to Diarmuid Marsden. Barry O'Hagan calling for it. This is O'Hagan coming through. Been urged on. Is there a gap? Diarmuid Marsden back to O'Hagan. Here's a chance of a goal. A real opportunity falling to Oisín McConville, and it's a penalty. McConville at the end of the movement there. Fouled. Fitzmaurice is furious. John Bannon nonplussed. He says it's a penalty. A minute to go to the end of this first half. Oisín McConville took it in, and you can see he was trying to burrow his way through. Taken down, the referee has decided. On the other hand, Kerry defenders and fans will feel McConville may have been charging.
Well, certainly was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I felt Oisín may have been, or certainly was charging in that case, but again, John Bannon saw it differently, and he's the one that counts.
3 penalties in All-Ireland finals in the past for Armagh, and this one is missed. It was missed in 1953. It was missed in 1977. They did score one through Paddy Moriarty. 3 penalty misses in 3 All-Ireland finals out of 4, and this is where the goalkeeper made a marvellous save. Declan O'Keefe coming to Kerry's rescue and maintaining a 5-point lead close to half-time.
Well, Declan O'Keefe was their nemesis 2 years ago in the All-Ireland semi-final, and once again a great save.
He certainly did well. Well, the scoring chances so far for both teams. Kerry with 15 chances, they've taken 11. Armagh with 11 chances, they've taken 6. Darragh O'Shea's taken everything that's come his way. McGrain is still after him, knocks him off his stride, and the linesman here decides line ball to Kerry. John Sheehan. Well, the talking points at the end of this first half, some great Kerry football, dominating in most sectors, and the penalty saved there by Declan O'Keefe. Enda McNulty slipping, sliding. Cooper's after him still. Finally to get as far as John Toll. Out to Kieran McGeeney. Can he steady the ship? Ronan Clark has come very, very deep indeed. Just 2 men on the inside forward line. Barry O'Hagan trying to take it forward into added time at the end of the first half. Still they look for this opportunity. It comes to Stephen MacDonald, and he has blazed it wide. That is a very bad miss, and he knows it. Hand to head straight away. He's missed a few. He has scored 2, but this was that save. McConville composed himself, but it's into the record books. Another penalty missed in an All-Ireland final.
Yes, just a little bit of poise missing in the Armagh attack at the moment when they do get those opportunities. Bad wide by Stephen MacDonald that time, and Oisín's miss from the penalty actually could haunt them.
Well, Stephen MacDonald with 2 points so far from 4 chances. This is Ronan Clark up against one of the best in the business, and he touched the ball on the ground, and it is going to be a free out to Kerry. Fitzmaurice. They move it forward with great pace. Nice controlled play. Darragh O'Kinneady against Justin McNulty, holding up the point of the attack. Inside towards Colm Cooper. What a predator. McNulty's alongside him. McGeeney was there too. It comes back out towards Liam Hassett, trying to burrow his way through, and in the end takes too many steps, and it's going to be a free out to Armagh. But just look at the picture there right now, the number of Armagh players who are back defending their goal area. They've been in retreat, and that with the wind behind them, and it's quite breezy. Eamon Fitzmaurice is the one who commits the foul, and his number is noted by John Bannon. O'Hagan kicking it ahead. Late chance perhaps in this first half for Armagh, and they've taken it, and it is Diarmuid Marsden with his second point. This is a player of immense talent. Potentially he's the best player on the Armagh team. He's made it 11 points to 7.
That's a good score indeed that time from Diarmuid Marsden.
Well, that's the final score of the first half. 18 points in all between the teams. Darrow Kineda with 3 points, 2 from Breeze, and the penalty missed there by Oisin McConville. Hasn't scored, consoled by Ronan Clark. Darrow Shea, who's orchestrated everything in midfield as anticipated, and Paul McGrain has not been able to close him down and gain primary possession. Kerry will be much the happier at half-time here in front of the 80,000 packed capacity crowd at Croke Park in the Bank of Ireland All-Ireland football final. So the break coming up very shortly. I can tell you what may well happen at half-time, as it's 11 points to 7. You may remember that Joe Kernan took out his jersey at half-time in the semi-final. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. We'll go down to the sideline. Our reporter is Marty Morrissey.
Paul Grimley, selector of the Armagh team, disappointed, I'm sure, that you're not a little bit closer to Kerry, considering the missed penalty.
Absolutely, Marty. We lost a lot of breaking ball there in the final 10-15 minutes of the game, and we're having a lot of problems with their runners overlapping us, and they're creating us problems down the middle and down the wings as well, and we have to deal with that. And on top of that, the loss of John McAtee has been a blow to us.
What exactly is wrong with John?
He's concussed.
The Kerry full forward line have scored something like 8 out of the 11 points. That is a major concern.
Yeah, well, again, like one thing when you have a forward line like they have, you have to try and stop the ball getting into them, which at the minute we're having problems in doing. We have to look at that when we go in here.
Thank you very much, Paul Grimley. Tony O'Keefe, pleased with the first half performance by Kerry?
Very pleased in the sense that we're 4 points up going in at half-time. Early on in the game we looked to be in a small bit of trouble, particularly at midfield. We weren't winning the break, but since we've won the ball and got it in quickly into a full forward line, we are getting the scores. But we're still in a bit of difficulty in our defence. The course of penalty save has been crucial so far.
Oh, on top, right down the middle though, Tony.
But I think in midfield, it's good. The midfield is very absolutely crucial to our game, and if we keep winning the ball in midfield, I think that we might win the game.
Tony O'Keefe, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marty. Well, I was saying to you there that in the semi-final at half-time, Joe Kernan took his number 8 jersey out of a bag to urge on his players. He said, I wore this in the 1977 final. We lost. Don't let it happen to you. Today, I have it on good authority. He has brought with him his runners-up memento. It's a little wooden thing, and he's going to take it out of the bag very shortly and say, this was a runners-up medal. If you want a winner, you got to do it. That second half is coming up very shortly.
Wide of the game, never on target.
Sports drink. It's not a three-piece suit. It's proven to help top athletes go 33% longer. In fact, touch it. Push it, push it, push it.
It's McAlowen. Oh, what a finish. The strike is supreme.
There are many great GAA teams, but none better than the Stars line out with myself, Micheál Murray-Hertig, and former fair manager, the legendary Jeb Loughnane. Also on the start team, there's Cian Murphy, along with Damien Lawler, and All-Ireland football winner Martin McHugh, Martin Bjorn. For the best coverage of the Hurling and Football Championships, join the winning team and don't miss 70 minutes tomorrow morning, only in the Star. For Gaelic Games coverage is far on Star.
Good morning. Shaving again.
So dry.
Really burns.
But not with Nivea for Men Sensitive Aftershave Balm. It's alcohol-free and vitamin-enriched, so it soothes and conditions.
Good morning.
Feeling good.
Looking smooth.
Nivea for Men Sensitive Aftershave Balm, so your skin can feel its best.
Is it the protein, the calcium, or the vitamins? And the way they combine to make a body beautiful. Or is it simply the taste that makes milk magic? Milk, it's magic.
And that is clear pulling of the jersey.
The choice of man of the match from today's All-Ireland final between Armagh and Kerry is yours. 1550 717 114 is the number to call from the Republic at 74 cents per minute. And if you're ringing from Northern Ireland, it's that second number there, 0906 614 2048 at 60 pence per minute. Those phone lines will be open until 8 o'clock this evening. I think Donald Daly, Kerry's midfielder, will certainly figure prominently in your thoughts at the moment. But it's your choice for man of the match, and that's announced in our later programme tonight. A look at the statistics then from the first half of this All-Ireland final, and there's the score at half-time. Kerry leading by 11 points to 7. 12 frees to Armagh in the first half against Kerry's 8. 4 wides apiece, just one yellow card issued that against Armagh's cornerback Enda McNulty. Pat Spillane and Colm O'Rourke watching that match with me. Colm, I have to say Armagh looked beaten in every division of the field, including in the good luck stakes.
Yes, and I thought in the end of that half Kerry should have really pushed home their advantage, because Armagh were like a wounded lion, and I was surprised that Kerry didn't just move in for the kill there. A couple of goal chances would have put the game beyond reach. Armagh have missed the penalty. They're down on their luck and down on their confidence a bit, but they're in serious trouble with their cornerbacks, particularly. If Enda McNulty is not taken off, he'd probably be sent off. Yeah. He's been fouling Cooper off the ball, and Cooper probably should have had more frees in. But Armagh started very well and they were very much in the game, but since you made the point about Donald Daly, I think that's the most valid. He dominated midfield for most of the first half, and when Darragh O'Shea came into it, then he really fired on all cylinders there. Brosnan is beating McGeeney for pace, as I suspected he would, and a bit of class from the Kerry team is beginning to show.
Mind you, it started very brightly from both sides of view, Pat. Both teams scored some lovely scores early on.
It has, it's quite an entertaining first half, I would say that, being a Kerry man, but what you see in the attack is we got some lovely long-range points, and some lovely points being kicked in the first half, but you can see a contrast in style. Kerry's is work slow, it's more interpassing and then pop out to a guy who's in support, and this was a nice point by Mike Frank Russell, who's cleaning out Bellew, like I said, and this is the difference then. Armagh's style of play is the long direct ball, turn and shoot, and this was a tremendous point by Ronan Clark. That's 45 metres out left foot. In fairness to Armagh, they've played the game positively, but you know, if there's one simple thing that stands the difference between, and that's pace. Kerry have the pace, they have the flair, Armagh started, like I said, like that, played very well, played direct, had the Kerry full back line in trouble, but now the Kerry full back line have started to come to grips a little bit. They're not renowned fielders, but they're breaking the ball a bit more. The Kerry half back line are supporting them, and if you note now, Darragh O'Shea is coming back as well to mop up as well, so they're now counteracting that direct ball, but it's been a good first half.
It's been a good first half. To come back to the point you were making, Colin, where Kerry could be further ahead if they got a couple of those goal chances.
Yeah, I suppose Armagh would argue that it could have been closer if they scored the penalty, but
yes.
There was a few very intricate moves here, and again Brosnan coming through at pace, he can't beat that. I thought he should have carried a bit further, and Mike Frank Russell kicks it over the bar, and I think that McGeaney...
If Mike Frank hadn't fumbled it there, he definitely was in.
Yeah, McGeaney coming back, actually, the ball hits the back of his head. And then Brosnan again, coming through the middle, injection of pace, just runs away from fellas. Now, maybe he should have stuck it over the bar or whatever, but like when you're that close to the goal, I suppose you can see nothing but the net bulging and maybe your name up in lights. But he's causing problems because of pace.
That's the danger with McGeaney playing a sweeping role. It means you're leaving the man free outside, and leaving a fella like Brosnan with loads of pace. I mean, it's a dangerous tactic, and you can see Brosnan is up in support all the time. Then there's an extra man coming through, and McGeaney's trying to mark two fellas coming through.
Let's have a look at the penalty incident, because this was a great chance for them. As I said, they were getting into trouble in the game. Now they had a chance to really come back into it.
They opened up the Kerry full back line a few times. Nice little interpassing.
They should have scored about 3 times here.
Yeah, this was not a penalty. This was a joke. This was a wrong decision. I'm not saying that because I was a Kerry man, because I'm a Kerry man, anything like that. If you can see clearly, he's not pulled down. He actually falls down on top of Declan O'Keefe.
5-yard scrum, I think.
I think the 5-yard scrum. It was a pushover try. A great save by Declan O'Keefe, but again, if you can see, I mean, if you want to implement the rules right, I mean, no one ever penalises goalkeepers for coming off the line.
True.
He was 3-4 yards off the line.
Yeah.
If referees want to be consistent, they should have allowed that penalty to be retaken again. But justice was done. It was not a penalty.
Yeah. Says Pat Spillane. Sorry, Colin, we have to go to a commercial break. We'll come back to that point after the break.
Toss of the coin between the captains. First blood to Australia. Boy, what a collision! One of the best games I've seen. We've restrained a couple of Australians.
The Coca-Cola International Rules Series. Tickets from Ticketmaster or the GAA website. There's no compromise in international rules.
Waiting to be discovered. Take a few days away and make a break for it.
Don't surrender to dry cow mastitis. Get tough and give your old dry cow therapy the boot. Switch to Bovaclox DC Extra. It contains 2 of the most powerful agents available for the therapy and control of mastitis, giving unbeatable energy. Consult your veterinary surgeon today.
70 years in Ireland.
It's Cadbury.
Of course it's Cadbury.
That's right. Cadbury is celebrating its 70th year in Ireland, and to commemorate, they're giving away €70,000 in cash prizes. Just see special Cadbury's Dairy Milk packs for details.
Daddy, what's a euro?
I don't know.
Ballygowan, the power of purity.
Electricity is one of the great forces of nature, and just like any force of nature, it should never be taken for granted. So when you're working on a farm, be aware, be mindful of overhead power lines, because contact, or even near contact, can be lethal.
Heineken, the last word in beer.
Welcome back again to the second half then of this All-Ireland final. Kerry are back out on the field, still no sign of Armagh, so obviously Paddy O'Shea has just said to the Kerry boys, lads, just keep doing what you're doing.
As I can understand, Joe has an awful lot of home truths to tell. I don't think showing that runners up middle is going to inject any much needed pace or flair into, but certainly they have a lot of sorting out to do. As Colm said, they're being beaten in all departments of the field. Maybe they've taken too much notice of us critics because they're playing very, very positively. They're allowing Kerry open up the game. They're not closing it down at all. Everything they needed to do, they're not doing it.
Well, there's a young lady who's very happy with what she's seen so far, obviously, from the Kerry team, from this man. Also, Frank Russell and Declan O'Keefe's save, of course, in that first half could be crucial in this All-Ireland final. Armagh have got to get a bit of a pattern into their attack, Colm O'Rourke.
Yeah, and they were doing very well early on. They were putting all their forwards more or less to stand in the middle, and then when they get the ball out the field, they'd split. And it's very, very straightforward. Kick it down. And they used a lot of cross-field passes too, which put Seamus Moynihan under pressure to start with Ronan Clark. And Michael McCarthy, surprisingly, has been under a good bit of pressure from Stephen MacDonald. But Kerry, as the half wore on, Kerry started to get to grips with it, and Moynihan won a few balls, and it rouses the team and it rouses the crowd and came out with it. I think Armagh need to score goals to win, but it looks more likely to me as if Kerry will get them, because the longer a game goes on, the more exposed players with a lack of pace become, and there is a serious lack of pace in the Armagh backline.
Well, they're giving a good discussion obviously at half-time so far. We heard Paul Grimley, one of their selectors, saying that obviously John McEntee having to go off was a big blow, and that surely was a factor too, Pat, their centre forward.
He's a good player, there's no doubt about it. He just scored a great point. I think he's still playing in the forwards. I mean, the problem is back in the full back line, which we've highlighted all year. And the fact that they weren't really exposed up to now didn't necessarily mean that they were proving us wrong. It's just that the opposition's full forward lines weren't exposed. They're very slow. Francie Bellew is a very ordinary club footballer, lacking in pace. I swear to God, my mother would be faster than most of those three fellas, and she has a bit of arthritis in the knee. They're very slow. They're very slow, and that's being polite.
Has Paddy had a look at her lately?
Well, I suppose it's very difficult to defend again. I mean, because the ball, Kerry's, and Martin pointed out, Kerry's composure on the ball is brilliant. Slow it down, look for the fella in support, and suddenly there's a quick long ball being played into space. Maybe they're not coming out at all, Michael Owen.
Well, I'm just beginning to wonder if they're bothering with the second half.
Yeah, well, the danger for Kerry,
they may be listening to the analysis in the dressing room just to see if they got a little.
Well, I think they need to be bringing on a couple of players, and they are certainly quick. But the danger for Kerry is that Kerry sit back. You know, we've always talked in the past about Armagh sitting back. You can't sit back in this pitch because the pace is too big, it's too wide. You know, players with pace will exploit it, and you know,
player is exposed.
Yeah, in the Armagh full back line, I suppose you saw Jerry Adams in the crowd there with his orange colour. I suppose, surprise. He could have told the Armagh full back line, your problems haven't gone away, you know, and there's no doubt about that. I think as the longer this game goes on, the worse the problems are going to be for Armagh, unless they can get a couple of goals, and Kerry have always looked a bit dodgy in that department.
Jerry Adams probably saying to himself his chances of wearing the Antrim colours here in an All-Ireland final is slim enough, I suppose, at the moment, so he's certainly wearing the Armagh colours and supporting, of course, the Northern team. Lovely shot there from our top camera, by the way, at the scene here at Croke Park. 75,500 people have come to see this year's All-Ireland final. And thankfully they're coming to see Armagh return for the second half as well. So that's our cue to rejoin our commentary team with Martin Kearney and Ger Canning.
Yes, we'll give you a break from all the discussion, and no changes from what I can see in the Armagh team. Obviously stern words having been spoken in the dressing room. So the capacity crowd looking forward to a second half. Only 4 between them, and that penalty miss by Oisin McConville just before half-time. It's curious when you look to the scores in the first half for Armagh. It was 5 apiece, I remember, at one stage. And the Armagh scores came towards the end of that half, in the 17th minute, 27th minute and 37th minute, but there were long gaps of 10 minutes between those scores. Second half is underway. What can Armagh do? Well, it's Kerry who have the opening free of the second half, and they also have the breeze. Darragh O'Shea to take this one. Looking in there for Darragh Kineda, selflessly working as ever. Not a good ball, however. This one comes back towards Paul McGrain. Now, can he steady things in midfield? Needs to be more influential. Good run here by Diarmuid Marsden. Mark O'Shea after him. Mike McCarthy sticking out the leg, just to try and deflect it anywhere. And this is Eamon Fitzmaurice, taken up twice in the last 3 championship matches by the Kerry selectors. Doing okay today. Liam Hassett coming through. Good pace as always. They try the opportunity through Mike Frank Russell. Disappointed. He's got 3 points over so far, and he's causing a lot of difficulty.
Yes, and I think that Kerry will be happy enough just to play the game in the Armagh half of the pitch in the next 35 minutes or so, Ger. Very, very direct stuff in their own backline. Just keep the ball going to the far side of the field. They'll defend the lead, but at the same time hope that their enterprising attackers will just continue to add to the scores.
Now the linesman has pointed something out to the referee John Bannon, and it's Aidan O'Rourke who looks to be in trouble. Will it be another yellow card for an Armagh player? Enda McNulty was booked in the first half and now started the second half. It's another card. Difficult afternoon for these Armagh players, particularly the backs. Pressure after pressure, wave after wave of Kerry attacks. Trying to win good ball here, doing so. McGeaney rifling it forward, but it's snatched here by Mark O'Shea. Sean O'Sullivan now. Good ball inside. And it's Mike Frank Russell who was fancying his chances, but it ends up in row B of the Canal Inn stand. He said he was going to give up the cigarettes if they won. Leaping in the air, Paul McGrain just in there with Donald Daly. He's got it. Needs a big 35 minutes now. Barry O'Hagan winning the free kick. And it came on as a substitute for the concussed John McEntee. Diarmuid Marsden showing prominently. Back to Andrew McCann. Stealing through here. Clark getting it back there. Again, it's Diarmuid Marsden, but this time it drops very, very short. And an easy one for Declan O'Keefe. Dar O'Shea slipping by the challenge there of Oisin McConville. Again, it's the half-back Tomas O'Shea who carries it out. Looks for support, gets it there from Liam Hassett. Inside, once again towards Mike Frank Russell. About 6 players now involved in this build-up. Daly the last one, jersey pulled, didn't get it free. And McCann gets it away for Armagh. A break on here with Ronan Clark being urged on by the thousands of Armagh fans here in Dublin. Back towards Stephen MacDonald, 2 points so far in the game. How they could do with a score here. Took a lot of steps. Kerry players tracking back. Movement breaks. Chance is gone, it seems. And in the end, it's Donald Daly. What a match he's playing. Very much the unsung hero. John Sheehan now, coming from the left wing. Dar O'Shea, as always, so good at working back, helping out. Barry O'Hagan picks up the loose ball. It's dropped in here invitingly towards Diarmuid Marsden. Marsden about to kick, and he scores. 3 points now for Diarmuid Marsden. Well, the inside forward line, when they get going, they're good. Only 3 between them, in spite of the fact that Kerry were very much the better team. But Marsden got out here ahead of his man. And looking at the inside forward line scores now, 7 points from play between the 3 of them.
Yes, you'd think actually that Armagh at the moment they're trying to target Marsden with the ball in the hope that he will exploit Mark O'Shea's inexperience.
Will it be Kerry's 33rd championship win, or Armagh's first? Knocked down by John Toll this time, but seized on once again by Donald Daly. Once again inside towards Darrow Kineda. Just looking around. Decided to have a pot himself inside towards Cooper. Catches it well there against Enda McNulty. Dished off nicely. Hassett coming through, and he has missed the opportunity. Well, he has scored just 1 point in the match so far.
That's 3 uncharacteristic wides actually by Kerry in the second half. 2 from Michael Frank Russell, and that time an easy enough effort from Liam Hassett.
McGrain coming to jump, but once again it's fisted down by Dara O'Shea. This time held in possession. The Kerry forward like Frank Russell, free in. Dara Canada having some words there with referee John Bannon. This kick is from just inside the 45-metre line. Breeze blowing over his shoulder. Then he organises defence. Well within his range. He puts it over. 3 of his 4 points have come from frees. He's an expert. Beautifully struck. 4 between them once again.
Yes, and I notice actually the 2 cornerbacks are switching now. Frankie Bellew has gone over on Colin Cooper, and Enda McNulty is going to mark Michael Frank Russell.
And all this while, Justin McNulty is still on Dara O'Kineda. O'Hagan was coming to gather, didn't make it however. Kerry win it back, but it's scrambled loose by Kieran McGeeney, and Kieran McGeeney fouled by Owen Brosnan. Drops his free kick in quickly for Stephen MacDonald. Coming onto it here, Oisin McConville, yet to score, gonna miss the penalty, dragged back, free in. Very scoreable position this one. Referee was noting the number there of Tomas O'Shea. Tough wing back, Tomas O'Shea. Shades of his Uncle Paddy. So McConville from Crossmaglen would delight this young lady, I'm sure, if he could put this one over the bar. There's his angle, distance out, approximately 35 metres. Catches it well with the right boot, and he has knocked it over the bar. First score for Oisin McConville. So back to a difference of 3 points between the teams once more. Kerry winning by 12 points to 9. So yet to see a goal in this game. Captain O'Keefe, who saved the penalty, beaten 6 times in 8 championship matches this season, doing well in the final. It's a huge kick out. Wind behind him, I know, but he has a wonderful kick out. I think the other of the McEntees is about to come into the game. It'll be Tony McEntee, twin brother of John. McGeeney floats it in. Great catch. Typical Seamus Moynihan. Rarely does he play a poor game.
Yes, indeed, such an inspirational figure. That time out in front of Ronan Clark, and a wonderful piece of fielding, driving the rest of the team forward.
This is it once again here. Great catch. Man who was the man of the series down in Australia, the Ireland versus Australia series 2 years ago. And that's coming up again, of course, next month. So Paddy McKeever goes off, Tony McEntee comes on. Taking the hand there of John Sheehan. Game being played in a good spirit. This is Francie Bellew here. They switched across onto Cooper. They work it out as far as Aidan O'Rourke. Good supply the ball down. Like a better supply in the second half, but it comes bouncing back out again. And inevitably it's Tomas O'Shea. 2 Armagh players are down on the ground. And they're absolutely flattened. And I think the crowd would like the ball to be kicked out of play. Dara O'Kineda has kicked it out of play. He was going for a point, but it's out of play in any case.
Yes, that was quite a bad collision actually with Stephen MacDonald and Ronan Clark as they went for that ball.
For the medical people who are in, Joe Kernan's there as well to check on the well-being of 19-year-old Ronan Clark, and Stephen MacDonald, the right corner forward. Clark the first up. Well, having lost John McEntee, they have to make sure now but they're fully focused and no little concussion or anything by any of the players. Dara Canada also down injured. The physio out to render the attention. Well, let's just have a look at this again here, see if we can see what happened. 4 players going for the ball and 2 Armagh players coming off second best. Down they went, MacDonald and Clark. Well, he's back on his feet, he's okay, ready to commence action. One more view of this, and they just had a nasty collision, but thankfully both are okay.
Yeah, just probably winded both of them actually in that case.
McGrain coming to jump, fisted down by Dara O'Shea. Trying to work it inside, but Armagh have gone into a second gear now here. This is John Toll. Cross towards Ronan Clark, operating at top of the right just now. Taking on his man, Seamus Moynihan. Clark kicking, very awkward angle, too awkward indeed. So another wide. They're finding it harder than Kerry when they get it in there because the Kerry defence is extremely good. John O'Keefe there in the centre of all of that. Of course, John Dwyer on the near side, son of Mickham. And I mentioned the Ireland versus Australia series coming up next month. Martin Kearney is involved in that as they prepare to bring Aidan McGarrett into the action. John O'Keefe just there in the background. He is the Irish manager for this series. Great take here in the middle of the field. He is such an influential player, Dara O'Shea. There's an Armagh player down on the ground. It seems to be Kieran McGeeney. 3 injuries in a row now to Armagh players. Sean O'Sullivan is about to make way, and it'll be Aidan McGarrett who'll come in. They've been vying for that right half forward position all through the championship. Paul McGrain has got a yellow card. 3 yellow cards now for Armagh players. And they're really having their problems with players hitting the deck. McGeeney's back onto his feet again, and that is the announcement there that O'Sullivan has made way. McGarrett is in. McGarrett had an injury earlier on in the campaign, lost his place there. That's a terrible free kick. Armagh have a chance. Their fans urging Diarmuid Marsden to carry it in. Laid off to Barry O'Hagan. Ready to take his point. Doesn't succeed, however. Some useful chances falling Armagh's way. Brosnan. They're trying to work it away. Here's John Sheehan from Lone Rangers, who was held. Free kick awarded. Nearly 14 minutes into this second half. Mike Frank Russell chasing with McNulty. That's Enda McNulty. Inside to Liam Hassett. Taking on John Toll. 2 men trying to get him to overcarry. The other one was Aidan O'Rourke. 3 down is the decision.
Yeah, the simplicity to characterise Kerry's football in the first half has deserted them now. They're starting to over-elaborate. They've only scored 1 score in the first 14 minutes of it, and that's with the wind behind them. And at the same time, Armagh don't seem to be good enough to go and register a score at the far side that is actually going to put pressure on Kerry.
Yes, it's the poorest spell of the match so far. That's Barry O'Hagan. That's a very, very bad pass. No chance whatsoever for the inside men to have any hope of gathering. Mark O'Shea setting up this one for his brother Dara. Aidan McGarrett tearing forward. Tony McEntee was after him. Looking for the first goal perhaps. John Sheehan trying to work it in here. Fitzmaurice up with the attack. He scored earlier on, of course. And that is a fine kick, and it's over the bar by Liam Hassett. Kerry fans will be very, very happy with that. 4 points established between the teams again.
Yes, it has been quite a barren spell of football over the last 10 minutes or so. No fizz in the game, momentum gone from it, and both sides really not going at it the way we would expect them in the second half of an All-Ireland final.
Benny Tierney, the oldest man playing in this final, might well be his last campaign. Joe Kernan brought him back. Here's Tony McEntee. Again, they try to find an opening in there, but it's Seamus Moynihan who touched it down. The only touch it down as far as Stephen McDonald. Here's a goal chance. Great opportunity for... Armagh should have scored there. Diarmuid Marsden was the one coming in on it. And it has gone for a 45, a moment of real drama.
It's a dreadful miss altogether. A total lack of conviction when the chance presented itself. That should have been put away.
Here it is again. My goodness me, they really had the opening. It was McDonald feeding it inside here for Diarmuid Marsden. It scrambled, they were on their hands and knees almost, and in the end Kerry had to concede a 45, and Oisin McConville was the last man to be in there with the chance, but it didn't quite happen.
Okay, we can compliment the quality of the Kerry defending, but we can criticise also the lack of responsibility in the part of the Armagh attack.
So this 45, first of the match. McConville the kicker. And he's kicked it beautifully. That's 2 points now for Oisin McConville. Both from place balls, but he might have had a goal there. But then McDonald was there also, and we saw Marsden coming in. 3 between them, 13 points to 10. An injury this time to Stephen McDonald. He's had a good season, Stephen McDonald. Plays with the Khalidi club in Armagh.
He's been outstanding for them actually, Jerry. He scored something like 2 goals and 16 points in the championship to date.
It's a huge kick again. Aidan O'Rourke mopping it up back there in the half-back line. 2 men inside to aim at. McDonald was one of them. Missed it, however. And Mark O'Shea gets it out here to Aidan McGarrett. So many players from the Ungaeltacht club playing in this. Back in towards Dara O'Kineda, another man from Ungaeltacht. Great block. Excellent work. And it was Kieran McGeaney, yes, who got it. Excellent block down. So more work there for Dara O'Kineda to do. This is O'Kineda breezing in there, but what a block down. Perfect timing, great courage and commitment.
And great covering by McGeaney that time, because Dara O'Kineda had gone beyond Justin McNulty, not for the first time today.
That's the latest match up there. McNulty in there against Mike Frank Russell. Well, we've seen 145 pointed a little earlier through Oisin McConville for Armagh. We've also seen some excellent free taking by Dara O'Kineda. 4 points for the day so far as his tally. Picture in concentration. Beautifully kicked, nicely over. No trouble to him at all. He's having a good final.
A wonderful final, Jordan. It's such an asset to a team to have a reliable place kicker who can put the ball over whenever the chance presents it from 45 metres or nearer than that.
Well, he's had 4 pots at the goal from frees, and he's scored each and every one of the 4. Diarmuid Marsden, 3 men against him. It releases Andrew McCann. How they could do with a goal like the one he got 2 years ago against the same opposition. Then it was a nice hot afternoon. It's quite cold and breezy now. This is inside towards McGrain. It comes back nicely. It's the first goal, and it's scored by Oisin McConville. It brings the Armagh fans to life. They're back in it. Only a point separating the teams. 19 minutes into the second half. A vital break. Watch as McConville was on hand, taking a little pass there and crashing it past Declan O'Keefe.
Fantastic piece of combined play that time, and a wonderful finish inside the near post from Oisin McConville. Now the game hopefully will come to life. Wonderful piece of play. Lovely little flick on.
It's anybody's match again. McConville has scored. Well, it'll make up in a way, I suppose, for the penalty miss, but it'll still register with him. They could be in the lead by now. Barry O'Hagan getting it back there towards Enda McNulty. Suddenly it's a more determined, more confident Armagh team. McConville here, the goal scorer, flung to the ground, and the referee may well have words with Tomás O'Shea. I think it's going to be a yellow card. It'll be a first for a Kerry player in the match. He's shown yellow, so that's 4 yellow cards in the match in all. 1 for Kerry and the other 3 for Armagh, obviously.
Well, the gauntlet has been thrown down to Kerry by Armagh with that goal, and hopefully over the next 20 minutes or so we'll see a great finale to this game.
There's about 15 minutes left in the 115th All-Ireland football final. Who's going to win it? Nicely taken. Good work again by McConville. Ready to take on Tomás O'Shea. It's McConville. We know he's a wonderful footballer. He's demonstrated time and again. Will he put this one over? He's put it just to the left. It was a glorious chance. He engineered it himself, mind you, showing the strain of the effort. But he'll remember his goal in the 2002 Bank of Ireland football final. McGrain played it into him, and it was rifled in by McConville. The man from Crossmaglen will remember his day for this and 1 or 2 other things. He'll remember it a lot more if they can win. Coming into the action here is Tom O'Sullivan. Mark O'Shea is making way. Gaps were beginning to appear on that right-hand side of the Kerry defence. Tomás O'Shea, I think, is going to go to cornerback, and it will result in Tom O'Sullivan going to right half. Barry O'Hagan has it again. Referee's whistle has sounded. Barry is a little annoyed because he thought he might have an advantage, but it's going to be a free, or is it? It is. McConville will take it. Well, he's changed the game plan. It's going to be McGeeney instead. They can use all the forwards inside. Just a point between the teams. Kerry leading. Across towards Roland Clark. Gathers it in well. Looking for support. MacDonald was there, having a pot, looking for the equaliser. Dropped short. So the attack starting for Kerry with their goalkeeper, and with Seamus Moynihan, the ever-reliable number 3. Oh, that breaks down there. Fitzmaurice has lost it. It comes back towards Barry O'Hagan again, but again it drops short. An awkward enough bounce, but Declan O'Keefe makes it look routine. Moynihan thought about going right initially. Where are the Kerry midfielders at this stage? This is Kieran McGeeney. Armagh looking for the equaliser. Will they get it through Ronan Clark? Moynihan comes out. It's a good one, and it's over the bar, and the teams are level. They've been behind for so long. Remember when it was 5-5? Well, this is the 5th time that the teams have been level in this match. 111 to 14 points. Are Kerry collapsing? Well, the jersey and little replica medal, the runners-up medal that I was telling you about that Joe Kernan was planning to show his players, it may be working.
You asked the question, what has happened to Kerry midfield? I think they've gone too far back. The half forward have gone too far back, and the Kerry team essentially has lost its shape in the last 10 minutes or so. And the leadership now of Darragh O'Shea around the middle of the park to start giving them a sense of direction once more.
Once again, Kieran McGeeney in need of attention. That's the second time in this second half that the medical people have been out to attend to him. Dr. Sean Digney, I should say. He's okay. He's a tough man. It would take more than a slight knock for him to leave the field. Here's John Sheehan up towards Cooper. Hasn't scored in the second half. Aidan McGarrell trying to come through. Paul McGrain trying to stop him. So too John Toll. Toll lets the ball slip under his legs, gets it back. And you can see Colin Cooper is incensed by the referee's decision to award the free kick to Armagh. Playing against the wind, suddenly the tide has turned, but the game is level. 10 minutes to go. Some final. Well, in our position up here, in the new commentary position in the Hogan stand. We're quite close to the spectators, and the Armagh fans beside me here are just jumping for joy, giving their side every encouragement. Here's Dermot Marsden trying to kick that ball in. Clark will keep it in play. Coming there as well, Barry O'Hagan fisting it in, but it's an easy one there for Declan O'Keefe. Liam Hassett way back in his own half, having to help out his defence. They hold it up there. Donald Daly releasing it to his partner. O'Shea stopped by Tony McEntee. Back to the captain, Kieran McGeeney. New lease of life now on this Armagh side. The goal has worked a treat. They're trying to take the lead, and Clark was trying to keep it in play, but it had too much pace, and there was no way whatsoever that he could contain it.
Yes, and certainly the momentum has swung Armagh's way at the moment, and they're controlling the game. And again, as I made the point, unless Darragh O'Shea and Donald Daly start to push forward a little bit more, they're inviting Armagh onto them.
Will Joe Kernan be the first man ever to manage an Armagh team to win the Sam Maguire Cup? Not if this man has his way. Darragh O'Shea, the Kerry captain, drops into the arms of Benny Tierney. Lots of players coming, trying to make the pass an easy one. Difficult one for Barry O'Hagan to take, however. Down to Aidan O'Rourke. The O'Rourke family very well represented in this Armagh panel. Dropped in neatly here. Once again, it is Stephen McDonnell, and he's put it over the bar. It's his third point. More significantly, Armagh lead the All-Ireland final. What excitement, what a contrast between the fans up on Hill 16. The solemn faces of the Kerry fans, jubilation on the eyes and faces of Armagh followers. Declan O'Keefe trying to switch it this time towards left half forward, bounces around. Aidan O'Rourke taking it down, waiting for Enda McNulty. It'll be a free kick in any case.
Yes, and all the breaks at the moment are going Armagh's way. They're fighting very hard, they're defending very well, and their attack now is starting to really make inroads into the Kerry defence.
Yes, the momentum is with Armagh, but can they stay in front as Liam Hassett becomes the second Kerry man to receive a yellow card? So a free kick. Now all the pressure is in on the Kerry backs. John Toll. Oh, wasted opportunity, really.
Oh yes, indeed, that ball should have been put in low in front of the full forward line, who are starting to get on top at the moment. That was a desperate waste.
It's time to call on Johnny Crowley. There's a crisis in Kerry, and the man who's going to go off will be Liam Hassett, who just got booked. Johnny with this wonderful scoring record in championship matches. Very shortly he'll be playing in the Cork County football final with his new club, of course, Bishopstown. So off to the South bench goes Liam Hassett, disappointed. 1 point between the teams. Armagh have battled back bravely. They've shown tremendous determination, commitment, etc. Seamus Moynihan for Johnny Crowley. First touch. Here's Moynihan escaping from his full-back position. Loves to attack. Taking on Kieran McGeeney. Old pals. Won back well. Justin McNulty. Out it comes here towards Ronan Clark. Everybody's battling. The pride of the jersey. The hope of winning the All-Ireland. Donald Daly gets a ticking for that last foul. It's out to Ronan Clark. Mike Frank Russell now resorting to fouling, and John Bannon is also going to call him aside. He's noted the number, he said that's okay, just turn around. He sees it's number 13 and he's ticked.
And when you see Seamus Moynihan so far outfield, you certainly know alarm bells are ringing.
So Barry O'Hagan setting Dermot Marsden up here. Just over 5 minutes of normal time to play. Stephen McDonnell urged on. Players calling for it. Neatly inside towards Paul McGrain. Great turn, great chance. He goes down. Well, the weight of the challenge certainly put McGrain off, and Kerry have possession once again. ferocious challenges coming in from Armagh. They're trying to pressurise Kerry in a very legitimate fashion. Bellew drops it down, gets it back. Then he's fouled. Hasn't been a good second half by Colin Cooper. Started brilliantly, but then the supply of ball wasn't really of the highest order into him. Kieran McGeeney kicking down towards Paul McGrain in an advanced state up there. He's fouled, free into Armagh. Almost 31 minutes gone in the second half. Darragh O'Shea has his number noted. But will he be lifting Sam and bringing him back towards Killarney and Tralee and all the other lovely places in County Kerry?
But certainly great credit is due to Armagh on the way they have come back in the second half. Even for the first 10-15 minutes of the second half, we thought things were going very, very badly for them. But once Oisín got that goal in the 19th minute, they have certainly taken the game and dominated Kerry in every sector of the field.
Cody looks very distressed, very worried. He knew coming into this game that some Kerry people and the bookies and I suppose the experts just felt a little too confident. There's a blood injury and Darragh O'Shea is going to have to go off. You can see the wound there on his head. Well, it's a blood substitution, and the player they're going to bring in will be Barry O'Shea. Barry, who was the full-back for a very long time. Well, John Bannon, I think, is pointing out that you'll have to receive the attention, I think, off the field. They may have changed their plan there, as Seamus Scanlon may well be the one who's coming in. Yeah, they've changed their plan there. Didn't see Darragh leave the field, but that was a rule, as I understood the interpretation. Oisín McConville kicking an important free kick in their ice for it. It's gone off a defender. It's a 45. More action. Darragh O'Shea, the last one to touch that. If that was a blood injury, Martin, my reading of it was that he should have left the field.
Yes, and I thought, to be honest with you, Seamus Scanlon was on his way to come in there, but it's very, very clearly defined. If it's blood, you must leave. So certainly the referee must be happy enough that it's not sufficient to actually warrant him leaving the field.
Fierce determination by Darragh to gee up his colleagues. He's the captain. Nearly 33 minutes are gone in the second half. 2 to go. Plus maybe a minute or two of stoppage time. McConville kicking. There'll be 3 extra minutes after the 70 is up, and that's going to be a free out. Still plenty of time. So about 4.5 to 5 minutes still to play. Kerry trying to get possession, trying to draw level. Back there helping out. Brosnan helping, and Brosnan engineering the free kick. Darragh O'Shea the taker towards Mike Frank Russell, spills away from him. Enda McNulty going down. He has support alongside him. Mike Frank battling hard, and it went off for McNulty last, and that has to be a Kerry ball.
Good call, certainly went off Enda McNulty's ankles.
Mike Frank to take it. Edge of the seat stuff. If it is a draw, and if Kerry can get an equalising point, the replay would be in 2 weeks' time. Remember Maurice Fitzgerald? Remember how he kicked from these kind of distances to rescue the team in the past? Darragh Kinneada kicking it in invitingly. Everybody trying to claim possession. The one who does so is John Sheehan, feeding it back there, just trying to keep it going. High up into the clouds. Justin McNulty fisting it away and finding a colleague. Armagh still leading by a point. One of a number of Ulster teams never to win the All-Ireland. This is probably their best ever chance. The team that missed a penalty, leading inside towards Stephen MacDonald. Kerry get it back. Tom O'Sullivan dishing it ahead. They need to hold possession. Here comes Darragh O'Shea. Up there, up it goes. Brosnan has the chance to level the game. Where's it going? It's gone left. Owen Brosnan missing a really good chance. with the game now in injury time.
It was a difficult enough chance that to Muncher, although he had a bit of time on the ball, but it just drifted wide of the post at the last second.
About 2.5 minutes to go.
But credit the belief Armagh have in themselves. From a seemingly impossible position, they have clawed their way back into the game and maintained the lead.
Armagh have made 30 scoring chances, taken 13. Kerry, 24 scoring chances, taken 14. They're trying to set up another one, but it's with Francis Bellew. Is he to win an All-Ireland medal? Something that seemed most unlikely and improbable at half-time. Andrew McCann setting it up here for Paul McGrain. McGrain just holding it up, using up a few seconds. Kerry need to get the ball back. It reaches Aidan O'Rourke. Counties like Antrim, Fermanagh, Monaghan have never won the All-Ireland. But all of Ulster is behind Armagh today, even though they may be the greatest of rivals when their own championship takes place up in the north. Kerry only 3 points, in the second half, and that tells its own story. Barry O'Shea is about to come in. Donald Daly is about to go off. Had a very good first half, but then they lost their way in midfield. So in goes O'Shea. Is there a way back for Kerry?
Hard to see it, Ger, at the moment, because they're not getting enough players up into the forward line and not managing to get possession of the ball.
Nearly 37 minutes gone now, second half. We were told there'll be 3 minutes extra, so 1 to go. Kerry must get it ahead. Fitzmaurice. Moynihan says, I'll take it by the scruff of the neck, trying to go by McGrain. It's won back, then lost, but won again, and McGrain has it. They just play hold ball now. MacDonald taking it forward. 1 more point would do. They may not even need it. The man who got the goal, Oisin McConville, just playing with the Kerry defence. Tom O'Sullivan trying to take it back from him. It's transferred neatly. Still Armagh. Ronan Clark, late chance. He's put it wide. 37 minutes, 42 seconds gone. 20 seconds to go.
Possession is critical from this one, Ger.
And they get it back, Kerry. But then lose it again. They've got a free kick. This has to be it. We said earlier in the match when they led in 14 of the last 18 championship matches at half-time, Kerry went on to win. This may buck the trend. Tomas O'Shea feeding it in, and good defensive play by Armagh. It's out to Kieran McGeady, the captain. It's all over.
What a result, Ger. Fantastic result for Armagh. Oh, what a credit to them, the way they applied themselves when everything seemed gone from them.
A fantastic day for Armagh. They have won the All-Ireland. Sam is going north once again. First time since 1994. In recent times we've seen Down do it a couple of times. Donegal, Derry of course 93, and in 2002 the winners of the All-Ireland, the Bank of Ireland Championship, Armagh. It's a fabulous day. Joe Kernan, just look at him, the moment of victory, elation. He's done it. He did it across McGlen Rangers. He's done it with his native Armagh. He was the right man for the job. The fans believed it. And far from keeping the fans out of the Croke Park surface, you get a view in a moment of the centre of the field, and they're swarming onto it. Rules is rules, they say, but today it doesn't matter. There's a banner out there. Are you watching? Pat Spillane. He is. He's seen it. These people thought they would never see this day. They were in 6s and 7s in the first half, trailing by 4, however, 11-7. They've won it by 1. The celebrations will begin now and go on, I'd say, until after Christmas. A thrilling day, an absolutely amazing day, and I think 31 counties in Ireland are wishing that this was the result, because they wanted to see the underdog do well, and when you've never won the cup before, This is just a great moment. It has to be. They've won by 1. This is, for the record, the final score. Armagh 112, Kerry 14 points. Our congratulations to them. Just look at this. I know there have been insurance considerations in the past, but when you win it for the first time, this is an amazing scene.
Well, that's what it's all about, Jerry. It's wonderful to see that, and Armagh have been such an important part of the GA family over the years, endured their own problems because of occupation and all of this, but by God, this is some day for them. Wonderful scenes.
I've just noticed that they in fact very wisely opened the gates from Hill 16 leading into the pitch. For safety reasons, I think they've decided it would be more prudent if they could all get in, share the moment with the heroes, led by Kieran McGeeney, the captain. It didn't seem likely at all after the first 35 minutes, but whatever Joe Kernan did at half-time, whether he took miraculous medals out of his bag or that little timber-framed medal, and said to them, as I believe he was going to say, irrespective of the score at half-time, lads, it's your big chance. This is a runners-up medal. I don't think you should have 15 or 30 of them go out and win the gold, and they've done it.
Call it willpower, call it determination, call it desperation, whatever name you want to put in it. This has been a wonderful day. They've breathed oxygen into the latter stages of this championship because of their approach to it. They've been accessible to people, with Kieran McGeeney driving them from the front. They've been wonderfully inspiring. And again today we have seen players playing against a team that have won 32 All-Irelands, not accepting the tag of being second best, and that is one of the greatest results I've seen in Gaelic football in many a year.
This is what sport is all about. This is why the championship is such a fantastic championship. Started way back in May. This is the final day now. No second chance for Kerry. They came through the back door, but from their point of view, there was no victory.
Yes, Jaron, that's a very good point. Armagh are unbeaten in this championship, and it's a great vindication of the provincial system to see provincial champions winning the game. We were afraid in many ways last year the backdoor winners won the final. This year, if the backdoor people had won it again, then it would have devalued the provincial championship in my eyes. So this has been a very good win in that respect.
Well, you can see the stewards there are in fact assisting the people. They don't want to crush up on the hill.
It's actually very dangerous down right in front of us at the moment with the heaving throngs. And God help the players in there. They had 75
what a day for Armagh, Joe Kernan. Absolutely unbelievable.
Look at these scenes. I never thought I'd see this in Croke Park again. It's unbelievable. It's for all these people, but most of all for these players who suffered so much over the last 3 or 4 years. And this is their just reward.
Seamus Mallon in the programme last night said there was a rhythm between yourself and these group of players. You have a
self-belief here now that was never there before. Unbelievable.
You have a spirit.
I'm so happy for them.
You have a spirit, Joe. 3 All-Ireland clubs, a senior All-Ireland championship, first for Armagh, history.
Oh, it's history. I don't know what's going on here. Here's the man here it's all about.
Congratulations, Joe Kernan.
Joe is very emotional, and why not? So are the fans up around us here, and the thousands upon thousands down on the Croke Park pitch. The day of the orange has come.
Gonna hit him wheeler and turn of runner a captain Ardwaka Kieran McGeeney.
No long speeches from Sean McCaig. The cup is going over the border. Kieran McGeeney, the captain of the first ever Armagh team to win Sam. A delighted Kieran McGeeney and a delightful day. Look at that scene. Just quite amazing. Reminiscent, I think, of the time that Down won in 1960, and suddenly the northern teams came more and more into prominence.
Well, fight!
Listen! Push back! You're hurting the ones at the front, then push back! Push back!
Kieran is very, very worried about the pushing at the front here. Overexcitement, but we don't want to see anything happen to any of the
everybody
spectators.
Move back, don't spoil it!
Could a few of the Gardaí please come to the main tunnel?
Touch of pandemonium at this stage.
Just move back!
In their exuberance at winning. Pat Guthrie there was making the appeals.
Listen, I'm not going to keep you that long.
Well, there's the other side of the picture. Hill 16, the Kerry fans have stayed on to see the presentation, but out on the pitch, it is a dangerous situation. There's no doubt about that. It is dangerous.
Yes, and I see actually down there at the moment, Jared, the guards trying to form a line in front of the presentation area in order to keep the crowds back.
But listen, you don't need words when you look down and see the sea of orange and white in front of you here. It says it all. Listen, as I said, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. There's just a few people I'd really like to thank for bringing this squad of players here today. The first people I'd like to thank is the Kerry boys. Boys, I know it's no consolation, but this team has waited a long time for this one day. And I know most of you as well, and I know you won't begrudge us this one goal. The second bunch of people I'd like to thank are the supporters. Without this, we are nothing. And I want you to put your hands together for one group of people. 30 lads who give their all, and I mean who sweated blood, done everything they could possibly do to bring this back to Armagh, the Armagh team. The last group I'd like to thank before I leave you is the backroom staff. Our county board have been fantastic all year. Physios, Niall, Jackie, Julie and Kathy, Joe McCluskey, our trainer, I'll not forget you this time, Q and Des, and last but not least, two men that took us to the promised land, Paul Grimley, and what can you say for the man, Joe Kernan? Joe and Paul, I'm going to speak on behalf of the players here. Joe and Paul, we cannot thank you enough for making you realise your dreams today. You go down in my life and these boys' lives as a friend for life. For that I thank you. Cheers. And the last one, thanks Q Morgan for the sponsorship all year. Cheers.
It's the story of the year in football, the story of Armagh. Armagh, the All-Ireland champions.
Well, I can tell you there simply are no words of mine that can describe the scene here at Croke Park. The pictures you can see for yourself, but the emotion and the atmosphere in this stadium at this time at 5:15 on the Sunday is just quite unbelievable. You might also say great presence of mind by the Armagh captain Kieran McGeeney there on this very special day for him as he was receiving the Sam Maguire Cup. The presence of mind to actually remind people, just push back a little bit, there's a huge crowd down there on the field, and to make sure that everybody is safe here in Croke Park on this day. We'll come back after our commercial break with more about this year's All-Ireland final. Stay with us. Now, a reminder about our phone number for man of the match from this game. It's 1557 17114. It's your choice as to who wins that Waterford Crystal Trophy. Call 74 cents, I should say, per minute. From Northern Ireland, 0906 614 2048 at 60 pence per minute. Those phone lines are open until 8 o'clock this evening, and the winner will be announced in our nighttime programme. We're on the air at 9:30 with a wrap-up of today's All-Ireland finals. There's the scene at Croke Park then. The Armagh crowd will stay here for a long time. I'd say if you came back again tomorrow morning, you'd probably find some of them still wandering around the pitch here at Croke Park, savouring this fantastic day. Look at the statistics from today's match, and the only one that really counts there is the one up at the top. Armagh 112, Kerry 14 points. I'd say the chances of any of that crowd you can see over my shoulder being, they are being asked by Pat Guthrie at the moment to clear the field. The chances of any of them leaving the field, I'd say in the next half an hour or an hour, are absolutely nil. Looking back at the highlights of this game in the second half, Colm O'Rourke, there were chances there for Armagh. We thought their chances were going away from them. They had a goal chance which they didn't get, and I thought at that stage, well, this is not going to be their day.
Yeah, well, it was a victory for pure heart and guts and determination over a team which was technically more accomplished. But Kerry had a soft centre, and in the end they were punished for it. A lot of their top players just went out of it totally in the second half. Like Armagh, Morrison in there, all he had to do was get a hand to it. Amazing that they didn't score a goal from there, but eventually it did come. You'd say to yourself, like, Morrison had to put this one away. He sort of just loses footing at the wrong time. Aidan O'Rourke, I suppose the Kerry backs he gives them credit for, but you would have to say at that stage that Armagh's chance had gone. But like, Kerry sat back, and what happened to them in the second half was they were wiped out completely around the middle of the field. They only scored 1 point from playing the second half. And Armagh, the top players from Armagh just threw caution to the wind and certainly pushed forward, and in the end should have won the game by a bit more. And I have to say, I'm glad I was wrong. Glad I was wrong, because when you see those scenes out there, they're just fantastic. And I know that Kerry is a great sporting county, and they certainly won't begrudge Armagh their first title.
Well, they certainly won't. And Pat Spillane, being down in your county last week, I know a lot of Kerry people said to me that if Armagh weren't playing Kerry in the final, they'd love to see them win it.
Absolutely. We've had 32 great Sundays in Croke Park, 32 All-Ireland final successes. We certainly wouldn't. No one would begrudge Armagh a victory. And as Colm said, the scenes out there were magnificent. I'll say this, it was a victory that they deserved, utterly deserved. There was no fluke about it. The better team won on the day. And it's not in any manual, it's not in any coaching book at all. Appetite, hunger, will to win. The team who wanted it most won the game today, and that was Armagh. And we'll be slagged off for our analysis at half-time. Our analysis at half-time was quite correct. An inept Armagh performance, a classic Kerry performance. Yeah. Whatever Joe said to them at half-time, he should patent it and bottle it, because
he took a long time to say it to them, so obviously it was worth saying.
Absolutely, but they came out in the second half and they took the game to Kerry. They took the game by the scruff of the neck. McGeady attacked. He wasn't playing a sweeping role anymore. They won the battle around the middle of the field. But Kerry, they started messing. The composure that was there in the first half was gone. The nice quick ball into the forwards was gone. The laying off the ball to a better placed colleague was gone. They were kicking, they were aiming for shots from bad angles. They were over-elaborating. They were trying to carry the ball. They were being belted out of it. There was a short little free intercepted. They were just not at the race in the second half. 3 points in the second half, 1 point from play, and they should have been beaten by a lot more.
But Armagh still needed the goal, Colm O'Rourke. They still needed the goal. They wouldn't have won this game without it, and it came.
Yes, well, I'm going to claim that it's the one thing I got right at half-time is that Armagh were going to need a goal to win. And if you were going to look for a player to get it, you'd say Oisin McConville. Now, Andrew McCann runs, you would think here, into a hole, gets out of it, flicked on there to McConville, and a brilliant finish. And that sort of put Armagh alight, because they were winning in the middle of the field. Darragh O'Shea and Donald Daly went completely out of the game in the second half after dominating the first. Even Seamus Moynihan was flustered, giving the ball away with hand passes, kicking the ball up the field. Kerry's composure just disappeared in the face of this mounting pressure, sheer heart and determination. Like Armagh just weren't going to surrender, and they were in the best possible position again that they had to come from behind, because when they're in front, they always seem to struggle and not know what to do. This time they knew there was nothing but to pour forward and pour forward and pour forward. Stephen MacDonald was brilliant, and I'd also like to congratulate Diarmuid Marsden, a fellow that we've been given plenty of stick to here. When he really was needed in the second half, he did his job, and fair play to Joe. Like, Joe is the larger-than-life character. He's a gentleman first and foremost. You know, he's battling hard with Armagh all his life. It's Armagh orange blood that runs through his veins. He mightn't like that said about him, but you know, he's been the heart and soul of Armagh football, and for him to drag a team that's lost out twice in semi-finals, and you would think never would do it, fair play.
We didn't know Stephen MacDonald's point was going to be the winning point. It turned out to be that way. It came a few minutes from the end of this game, and this was it for Armagh.
Stephen MacDonald, remember the last time Stephen MacDonald played on Michael McCarthy was in the 2000 semi-final. He was replaced. Today,
Tony McEntee setting up the move there.
Who had a tremendous game when being introduced in the last 25 minutes. But MacDonald was brilliant all day. Kicked with the right, kicked with the left. He shows well for the ball. Very, very accurate. 3 points from play. Look, Ronan Clark, 19 years of age, on arguably the best full-back in the game. Seamus Miney kicked 3 points from play, and Diarmuid Marsden 3 points as well. The full forward line destroyed the Kerry full-back line. Like I said, they deserve to win. Physically strong, and you know, we slagged off the Armagh full-back line. Sure, they're bad. Sure, they're slow. But if no ball comes into the forwards, they're never going to be exposed. And nothing came into the Kerry fellas in the second half. You can't play without the ball, and certainly Kerry didn't have the ball and didn't want to have the ball. And in that goal incident, actually just before,
here's a man that thoroughly enjoyed today. Seamus Madden, of course, who wore the Armagh colours in his time.
Well, Garvahy Road will have one orange match down there, and it looks like in the next couple of days.
Well, there was a lot of emotional. Jonathan Burns was here beside us in the BBC commentary box beside us. I thought he was actually going to jump out over the top. I was genuinely worried he was going to jump out over
I mean,
the top.
you saw the raw emotion coming out. I mean, this is years and years of coming down to Croke Park and watching the Kerrys of this world, annihilating them and going up with their heads between their legs saying next year, and there was never a next year. So this was brilliant for them to do. Do you know the man that made the biggest jump of the whole after the final whistle? Tony Davis. I was very surprised as a neighbour's child to be there. But anyway, we'll forgive him that. But elephants never forget.
Let's hear what some of the other people have to say leaving Croke Park today about today's game.
We knew we could do it. We had the belief. We have the victory that we all deserve. Champions once, and once we deserve it.
Showed their medal, 3 medal in the last 15 minutes there. Outstanding the day, and well done to Derry Miners too.
Good result. Armagh deserved their victory, and we're the first to congratulate them.
Well, my hat is nearly stopped. But I think Armagh deserved it in the end. Like, I played better in the second half than I know that. Like, and the goal, they made business with the goal.
Kerry were in for long periods. It looked like they were going to take it there at one stage.
Well, we all thought they'd take it. A couple of Armagh boys. I was sitting between 2 Armagh boys. They says to me at half time, "Do you have it?" I says, "We have not." We're in the second half is out, and I said, "He'll be probably there." So best of luck to
brilliant game. Armagh finished very strong. I thought at half time Kerry were the best team, but in the second half Armagh brilliant. I'm a blushing man myself. County Monaghan man, I'm delighted for Armagh.
There'll be some celebrations in Armagh tomorrow night.
Be brilliant, yeah, a lot of celebrations. Finished very strong. You have to admire their resilience and the determination to come back. We're 4 points behind at half time, and you had to put your house on Kerry, but fair play to Armagh, they were brilliant.
Yeah, some celebrations tomorrow. I reckon that's going to take them right through to Christmas. Now, just let me give you a reminder before we leave you about our phone number for Man of the Match if you want to pick Man of the Match from today's game. 1550 717114 from the Republic, and 0906 614 2048 if you're calling from Northern Ireland. 74 cents per minute from the Republic, 60 pence per minute from Northern Ireland. The lines are open until 8 o'clock tonight. The result of the Man of the Match